Welcome back to R1P's weekly review. I'm your host, Lever KT, and before we jump into week three's action, let's take a look and see what happened at week two. First game was the Browns versus the Bengals. The Browns taking that one 35-30 on Thursday night. The Bears takes the game over the Giants 17-13. Rams demolished the Eagles. It wasn't even close, 37-19. Cowboys and Falcons was arguably the game of the week. Cowboys taking that one in sad fashion for the Falcons, 40-39. Best onside kick I've ever seen. Panthers versus the Buccaneers. Brady plus Leonard Fournette equals a dub. Buccaneers taking that one 31-17. 49ers versus the Jets. Jets were my upset pick of the week. I was wrong. 49ers take that one 31-13. Broncos versus the Steelers. Even though the Steelers won that game, Jeff Driscoll had a chance to win that game on the last drive of the game and couldn't convert. Jaguars versus the Titans. Are y'all sold on the Titans? I'm not sold on the Titans. Titans only won 2 games by a total of 7 points. They won that one 33-30, but they're 2-0 nonetheless. Lions versus the Packers. Don't even want to talk about the Lions. It's all about the Packers. Packers taking that one 42-21. Up next, we got the Bills versus the Dolphins. As Boomer always say, no one circled the wagons like the Bills. Bills taking that one 31-38. And if y'all don't believe in Josh MVP Allen now, y'all will by week 17. Vikings versus the Colts. Don't even want to talk about Minnesota. Colts taking that one 28-11. Washington football team versus the Cardinals. I like what Von Rivera is building in D.C. Dwayne Haskins don't have any turnovers this year. He's not going to win you a bunch of games, but he's not going to lose you a game either. Cardinals winning that one 30-15. Ravens versus the Texans. Lamar Jackson, Greg Roman, as long as they're there, they're going to win a lot of games. Ravens taking that one 33-16. Chiefs versus the Chargers. The Chargers have given some teams the blueprint on how to slow down Mahomes in that offense. But the Chiefs take that one in overtime 23-20. Patriots versus the Seahawks came down to the last play of the game. Cam Newton from the 2-yard line. They did this formation where Cam Newton ran the ball, scored a couple touchdowns off of it. You try to run it again at the end. Not happening. Jamal Adams wasn't allowing it to happen. Seahawks went out with 35-30. Saints Raiders, the last game of the week on Monday Night Football. Upset alert. Raiders taking that one 34-24. Before we head into our game of the week, here's a message from our sponsors, Fantasy Vibes.
Welcome to Fantasy Vibes, brought to you by Real 1's Productions, exclusively on YouTube. Before we get started and into this experience of a show that we have planned for you, I myself, Moon Vibes, would like to welcome you to our channel.
Chiefs, Ravens, R1P's game of the week. We got the last 2 NFL MVPs with Patty Mahomes winning it 2 seasons ago and Lamar Jackson who won it last year. These teams also faced off in week 3 of 2019 with the Chiefs winning 33-28. Nomi, what matchups are you excited to see this weekend?
I'm excited to see Lamar Jackson against the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense has been playing pretty well, and they've been covering the run and the pass kind of evenly. However, they haven't really been able to stop the score in either way. So I think Lamar Jackson's feet leading to his arm are going to be the biggest issue.
Gotcha. So the Titans kind of ruined the matchup last year because we really wanted to see the Chiefs and the Ravens again. Had they had met in the AFC Championship last season, do you think the Super Bowl winner would be different?
That's a really good question. No, but this year if they met, I would say yes.
Absolutely.
I think one more year under Lamar Jackson's belt is exactly what he needs to be able to do that.
I couldn't agree with you more because when they got down against the Titans and they had to pass the ball, they couldn't pass the ball. But Lamar Jackson is right on par this season, completing 77% of his passes. Jalen, what matchup are you most excited to see this weekend?
Well, mine is similar to Nomi's, but instead of like Lamar Jackson, it's like the whole Ravens offense against the Chiefs defense. And it's more so the Chiefs defense just because I think they have really impressed this season. And I really believe that shocked a lot of people just because people came into the season thinking, oh, well, the Chiefs defense isn't good. So, you know, it is what it is. It's going to be the same as last year where offense has to do more of the carrying. But this year, it has been a good defense, and I like that. But I don't think they faced an offense as good as the Ravens. So I don't think it will be a close game. And I'm really excited to see what this Chiefs defense really looks like against a good offense.
Hey, I couldn't agree with you more. Moon Vibes, what's your take on this?
I'm interested to see the coaching battles. Andy Reid versus John Harbaugh, of course, but also offensive coordinator battles. Eric Bieniemy versus Greg Roman. That's going to be very, very interesting to see how they continue to throw little wrinkles and trinkets into their game plans to maybe get some quick scores, maybe come up with some third down conversions. That's going to be vital in this game. I also a sneaky underrated matchup that I'm looking for is Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus the Ravens linebackers, specifically LJ Fort. Now, last game he had a defensive touchdown off of a fumble, and he dove for the pylon and really showed off some athleticism. And
Absolutely.
the week before that, he was balling out too. And his run defense, though, is what sticks out the most. And right now, from Pro Football Focus, he has a run defensive grade of 92.2. And last Sunday, the Chargers were able to nearly pull off the upset victory against the Chiefs. Now, that was in part due to their ability to slow down rookie running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And they held him to only 38 rushing yards on 10 carries, which is extremely important. You have to make Kansas City one dimensional, and I think that the Chargers did a good job. So I think that they kind of gave the game plan to the Ravens. And I know that these two teams played each other last year, but they gave the game plan to the Ravens for this year's squad. Okay, this is what you do. So I'm interested to see Patrick Queen, LJ Ford, Malik Harrison being the keys to slowing down that Chiefs rushing attack this week.
Staying with you, Moon Vibes, Greg Roman and Eric Bieniemy should be at the top of the everybody's coaching list in the offseason. We talked about earlier about Matt Patricia possibly being gone. We also talked about Adam Gase possibly being gone. Bill O'Brien. It's feast of famine at this point for Bill O'Brien. So
Hmm.
not only should they be at the top of people's list, what are good fits for both of those offensive coordinators?
Wow, 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 wow. Um, First off, let me say put some respect on Garrett Roman's name. First and foremost, just look at his resume, look at his body of work. Tyrod Taylor, Colin Kaepernick, Lamar Jackson. He's showcasing to you that not only black quarterbacks can be successful in this league, but they can be highly productive as well. I really do feel that he is tailor made for a job that is going to be like that is going to be fantasy friendly for their quarterback. I would love to see him in a situation where he's in Houston, working with Deshaun Watson. That would be incredibly beautiful. For Eric Bieniemy, it's interesting because I can't really pick a fit for him, but I know that he deserves a job. There shouldn't be a situation where he's not getting a job when you have head coaches in this league that are not they don't like their players. There's coaches in this league that hold grudges against their players and don't give them the production that they need because they don't care about winning. They care about their ego and their pride. You have coaches out there that won't swallow their pride to hire other people that can help them win, especially on the defensive side of the ball, even though they were a former defensive coordinator. There's other coaches out there that can't even control their locker rooms. There's other coaches out there that just give us BS and feed us BS all the time, even though on Sundays they don't produce. There's a long laundry list of coaches in the league that are not living up to their expectations. And you can go to various franchises across the board. At some point, they're going to have to reevaluate things, and these owners and these GMs going to have to reevaluate and say, hey, what do we need to win? And do we take this chance to take this risk? Now, for the coordinator side of the ball, or side of the coin, I should say, with Greg and Eric, no disrespect to them by using their first names, but do we even leave? You know what I'm saying? If I'm Airbnb, like, why would I leave Patty Mahomes? Like, yeah, it's a perfect situation. And why would I, if I'm Greg Roman, why do I leave Lamar Jackson? Because it seems like a perfect situation, a perfect fit. But with all the head coaches in this league, that there's good head coaches. Don't get me wrong, but there's some ones that are like questionable hires. You just like, bro, like, why do you still have a job? I can go down the list: Dan Quinn, Matt Patricia, Adam Gase. It's a laundry list. But meanwhile, some of these guys like Eric Bieniemy and Greg Roman are just totally just skipped over and not even looked at. not even offered a job. So it's something that the NFL is going to have to take into account, and you would hope that the Rooney Rule will help with that, but obviously not. So that's how I feel about that.
I thought you added excellent insight, and also adding the Rooney Rule. Is it helping? I look at it as a vehicle that should help. It's almost like affirmative action, which does work both ways. A non-African American attending an HBCU, or African American attending a college that has little to no African Americans. Do you feel like the Rooney Rule is truly working?
No, I wish I could say yeah, but no. Yeah, you give these they get called for the job or into consideration. Like we have to at least interview, but at the same time, that's not working. And we seeing this. We seen. You can look at the statistics. You can look at just the percentages. You can look at stats. You can look at whatever you want to. But why is there not more black head coaches in the league? Like why are there not more? Even if we go to college football, why is it that Illinois and Jalen's team, they got the majority of the black head coaches and the coaches in the NCAA. Why? It's crazy. And I know Greg Roman is not black, but Greg Roman is successful. Greg Roman is highly productive, efficient, and just creative. Yeah, I think it's just maybe it's a lot of different things. Maybe the owners don't want to swallow their egos. Maybe they're so used to being in their collective bag, or focused on the collective bargaining, whatever the case may be. But if we ushering in the next new 100 years, since we just had the anniversary 100-year anniversary of the NFL, if we moving into the next 100 years, y'all have to change something up, because y'all primetime game was Deshaun Watson versus Patrick Mahomes, two black quarterbacks in the NFL. But yeah, we got two black quarterbacks, but what about the coaches? Why are they not getting opportunities? And not just in the NFL, but all across sports.
Excellent, excellent insight. Adding to your point, the NBA is light years ahead of the NFL as far as BLM is concerned, but still, same thing. There's not many African American coaches. But I will end this on a different note. Could you imagine what Greg Roman could do with Justin Fields? Imagine
That's
him
what
being in
I'm
the
thinking
opportunity
about.
to draft them. I'm taking him first in our fantasy league. Yes, if that does happen, I'm taking him first. I gotta take him first. So LL Cool Brad, what matchup are you excited to see this weekend?
I'm excited to see basically the whole Chiefs wide receiver core, and I want to see how they can, like Tyreek Hill. I want to see how the Ravens defense can really well defend him and the whole wide receiver core, and limiting them to not as many catches, and Pat Mahomes not as many uh, passing yards. And I want to see the defense on the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to see them try and stop Lamar Jackson with his run game and try and hold him under 75 yards. And I want to see them hold Lamar Jackson under 200 yards passing this game.
Hey, that's a great take. I think throughout the first 2 weeks, um, the Chiefs have faced kind of benign offenses. So let's see what they do this week against Greg Roman and Action Jackson. Know me. It's prediction time. Let's get those predictions. Let me hear it.
I think the Ravens are going to win about 35-30. I think that's because of running the ball. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs have allowed 3 rushing touchdowns, while the Baltimore Ravens have allowed none. Uh, the Ravens have scored rushing the ball 3 times. The Chiefs have scored once. They've both allowed the same number of passing touchdowns. They've both scored almost evenly in the passing field. So we're mostly looking at what is the difference here, and it's allowing people to score off the run game. And I think that that's where Baltimore is going to flourish, and that's why they're going to eventually win, even against a high-powered Patrick Mahomes offense.
It will certainly be a barn burner. Jalen, your predictions.
My prediction is I got the Ravens winning 31-17. And I say that because I think the Ravens will take a page out the Chargers book. on defense and will use that for their advantage. And I already think their offense is capable of keeping up with this Kansas City offense. So yeah, my prediction is 31-17 Chiefs. I mean Ravens.
Ravens. I think that's an excellent pick. I think, like you said, the teams are going to kind of take out of the Chargers book what they were able to do, even though a lot of teams don't have the front four that the Chargers did. But that can also be reciprocated. Last year, the Bills didn't beat the Ravens, but they were definitely able to slow down Lamar Jackson on the ground, and then we seen what the Titans did in the playoffs as well. So definitely going to be a interesting matchup there. Moon Vibes, your prediction?
Fellas. I got some stats for you. But before I get to them, I want to say this. It's not that often that a team that got bounced by the Tennessee Titans, the next year they come out and say it's Super Bowl or bust for us. And we didn't even make it to the Super Bowl, but it's Super Bowl or bust. Kansas City doesn't really have that talk. I don't really feel like it's a Super Bowl or bust year for Kansas City. They already made it. You already made it. It really feels like y'all don't have nothing else to prove. Although they want to win, of course, but it doesn't feel like Super Bowl or bust for only two teams right now. It's the Bucks because of all the hype and the expectation, and it seems like the Ravens. And so in their mind, they're like, "Hey, we're going 16-0." That's what they think. And in Baltimore, the game is in Baltimore, and so an interesting fact that I found in this, and I gotta read this to y'all. The Ravens are wearing all black. I think they're wearing black tops. I don't know which bottoms they're wearing right now, but this is significant. Last year, when the Ravens wore black, they were 3-0. Week 9, they wore black jerseys, white pants. They beat the Patriots 37-20. Week 13, they wore black jerseys, black pants. They beat the 49ers 20-17. Week 15, they wore black, all black. They beat the Jets 42-21. Monday Night Football, under the lights, I predict that it'll be a combination of either all black or black and purple. And I say the Ravens win by a score of 34-21. And it's not as close as people think it is. It just comes down to this. I just don't feel that Kansas City, after they played the Chargers past week, I know that was a divisional game and it's closer, it's tighter. But I just think that the Chiefs, they don't have the defensive backs to be able to match up and tackling wise with a heavy running game of the Baltimore Ravens. I just think that Greg Roman is going to be in his bag, and I see that as a score, 34-21, my score.
Moon Vibes has the Ravens winning 34-21. LL Cool Brad, are you the lone wolf here?
I think I agree with Moon Vibes. It's not going to be as close as they think it is. Just looking at last week, the Chiefs almost lost to not the 49ers, the Chargers. Like, if they're, like, same thing with the Steelers almost losing the Broncos, you know what I mean? It's like, you can't rely on these teams to face even better competition when they almost lose to a team that's not as good as them, you know what I mean? So I'm going to say the Ravens win. I'm going to say 42-28.
I have an interesting take.
You better not say the Chiefs.
I think that the reason why the Chargers and the Chiefs game was so close last week is because they were looking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
The hell with who's in front of us. We know who we got next week, and we know that's going to be game of the week. And I think they were more focused on that. Think about it this way. Andy Reid had 10 days to prepare for the Chargers. Did that look like Andy Reid coached team with extra time? No. I don't think he prepared for the Chargers at all. I think he acknowledged them. Hey, let's show the tape. They got a real good defense. Let's turn the tape off. Let's look at Action Jackson. Give me the Chiefs this one. Another close game, 35-28. So that is our game of the week. Up next, we got the Packers and the Saints. Packers Saints. This was almost our 1P game of the week. They last played in 2017, and the Saints was able to win that game 26-17. I got one question for everybody. Is this a quarterback duel or a running back duel? Nomi, starting with you.
I think it's a running back duel, especially if you look at the time of possession for both of these teams. The Packers are at 38 minutes a game, while the Saints are looking at 27 and a half. I think the running back specifically for Green Bay really need to maintain the time of possession and maintain the ball for a really long time for this game to go in their direction.
Wow. Jalen, how do you feel about that?
And I also think it'd be a running back duel. And I'm into that because the Packers won't they won't have Devontae Adams most likely because he's listed at doubtful. So I think that will hurt them, and they will try to run more, especially with wide receiving core, which I think to have him throw the ball to you means he has a lot of trust in you sometimes. And but I don't see that out there without Devontae Adams. So I think they will try to turn this to a running back duel too, with Josh Jacobs. I mean, not Josh Jacobs. Sorry, I'm talking about last week. Alvin Kamara and Aaron Jones. I really think this will turn into a running back duel, especially with the way Drew Brees played on Monday night. So yeah, this will be a running back duel in my opinion.
Moon Vibes, what's your take?
The reason why this is not a quarterback duel is because Aaron Rodgers is on another level greater than Drew Brees. And honestly, I'll say it again. Aaron Rodgers is on another level greater than Drew Brees right now. And Drew Brees is hanging on to his last slivers of hope. And Michael Thomas's absence is just showcasing to y'all that even more. 30.7% of Drew Brees' fantasy points is coming from Michael Thomas. Emmanuel Sanders didn't catch a catch until the fourth quarter at the very end of the game on the last possession during garbage time. I mean, Tre'Quan Smith looked good, but at the same time, I don't think the Saints are relying on their passing game. I think they're relying on their run game. Alvin Kamara, definitely got to start him. But for the Packers side, it don't matter if they run or pass. Their offense is just looking great right now. And honestly, if Devontae Adams doesn't look like he's going to play, but that doesn't worry me at all because Devontae Adams missed a significant time last year. Aaron Rodgers still put up numbers. It's what makes me think that anything's gonna be different this year. Plus, he looks like he is looking for revenge. he's just we call him a bad man before, but he's just proving that this year again.
And he has something to prove this year too.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
LL Cool Brad. Is Aaron Rodgers really light years ahead of Drew Brees at this stage in their career?
Honestly, yes. I mean, dude, he's got so much talent around him, bro. If that talent can do way more than the Saints, dude, the Saints, in my opinion, they've always been like a good team. They always go 10-6. You know what I mean? The Packers, dude, they just have way more talent, bro. They just do.
Can I add something in there?
Sure.
The Aaron Rodgers game one, he went 32 of 44, 72.7 completion percentage, 364 for a touchdown, 0 interceptions. This last game, he went 18 to 30, and he didn't really have to do that much because Aaron Jones was going crazy. And he went 18 to 30, 60% completion with 240 yards, two picks. You just seen a high ceiling, and then you just seen a low floor. If that second game is Aaron Rodgers' low floor, and he didn't turn the ball over in any games, I can see the situation where I don't really think it's about time of possession. I think it's about turnovers. And the Saints are a turnover-based defense where they look at them. They get a turnover and they all run down the field and celebrate for the camera. I don't see that happening unless Aaron Jones fumbles, but it's not going to be because Aaron Rodgers that they turn the ball over. I just had to add that in there.
Hold up. Y'all better put some respect on Drew Brees' name. ASAP. Did we not forget what A-Rod did in the playoffs last year? Or how he looked against the 49ers in the regular season last year?
Did we not
The only reason how often he disrespected Mike McCarthy and changed plays and wouldn't listen, he was the reason why the Packers went out and got a quarterback was to show him a lesson. They wanted to teach him a lesson because Aaron Rodgers was doing whatever he want, whenever he wanted, and he wasn't respecting the process at all.
KT, the Packers drafted him when Brett Favre was 35. They're doing the exact same thing at the exact same age. Even if he plays for the next few years, when he gets to the end of that contract, maybe he'll have one more, but it's not going to be much longer before they're all like, this kid behind you has been on the bench for a second and we want to give him a try. Go ahead, Moon.
I was about to say, go ahead, Mo.
There's no way that you can be a football fanatic and our host on R1P introducing this segment and watch Drew Brees play and watch Aaron Rodgers play and say that they still have the same zip on the football.
Yep.
This man, Aaron Rodgers, just throwing dots.
Drew Brees has never had the strongest arm. Peyton Manning has never had the strongest arm. It was always about precision and timing.
He's not as accurate.
I agree with you there, KT, but also I think Aaron Rodgers has that precision and timing that Drew Brees has with the strong arm that he doesn't have. Granted, he can move a little bit better, but I don't think that right now in this stage of their careers, I love Drew Brees. He's one of my favorite players all time. I think that right now he is not producing at the same level of Aaron Rodgers. I don't think a lot of people are. The way that he sees defenses is absolutely incredible to me. I don't know how he does it, but I feel like he knows what's happening before the defensive play is even called.
I agree with that, and I agree that Aaron Rodgers is playing lights out. I mean, look at his stat line. His quarterback rating is 119.4, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. But I also believe that Drew Brees is going to right the ship. He doesn't have his number one target. You guys said it best on Fantasy Vibes is that Michael Thomas is he pretty much is 30% of his targets. So that's interesting. What were you about to say, Mo?
Last 3 years, Aaron Rodgers, he had in 20. Let me see, just to be correct. 2018, this man had 25-2, 25 tubs, 2 picks. Last year, 26-4. This year so far, 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to pull up Drew Brees stats because last year he was kind of hurt from Teddy Bridgewater and stuff. But at the same time, it's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
So y'all gonna sing that in unison? You know what? Now that I think about it, it's also another guy with 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, number 17. He plays for the Bills, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
hey, JT, you're getting a little lightheaded.
You know what? You're right. Let's focus on Packers and Saints. Know me. What are your predictions?
Packers win by a decent amount. I think it's going to be like 42-27. I think the Packers are going to score a lot. The Saints defense is pretty good, but they've allowed 5 passing touchdowns already. They are a one-on-one type of offense. They run a lot of man coverage, and Aaron Rodgers is going to eat that up.
Wow. Even without his number one target. Jalen, go.
Well, even without Devontae Adams, I think it's going to be 24-20.
Mm-hmm. More vibes.
The line for this game right now on all platforms is the Saints are favored by 3, and they're at home. That worries me a lot, especially with no fans in the Saints stadium. Home field advantage, you can't really factor that in. Now, if that was the case, it's kind of a different story. But my prediction, the over/under for this game is 52.5. I'm gonna take the under in this game, but I'll explain why. I watched that whole Oakland Raiders game versus the Saints, and I was not impressed at all. Not by the Saints offense or the Saints defense. Especially not the Saints defense, especially them giving up that last run against to Jalen Richard. Now they tried their best to contain Josh Jacobs, which they did. He didn't have over 100. Or Jalen's prediction would look even greater right now with Josh Jacobs. But I just feel my prediction, my gut is saying that the Packers win, and they win by 11. Don't have a final score, but I do know that they'll win by 11, and it'll be not only because they are able to pass the ball efficiently with A-Rod, but it'll be because they can establish the run game against a team who is not as good on paper, not as good as they seem to be on paper.
LL Cool Brad, what are your predictions?
I think that the Packers are going to win. It's going to be a close one. It's going to come down to the wire. But I feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to have a chance on a last-second drive to win the game, but he just doesn't get it done. And I feel like the Saints are going to walk out of there. Sorry, not the Saints. Shit, I totally messed up. Uh, I'm talking about Drew Brees. Yeah, man. But I feel like, yeah, man. I feel like the Saints aren't going to make it. And I feel like the Packers are just going to walk out of there with 31. I'll say 38-31, actually.
38-31 is the final score. All our panelists agree the Packers are going to win this game. I have to be honest. Even though I think that they're underrating Drew Brees, I do think the Packers will win this game as well. Up next, we got the Cowboys and the Seahawks.
Real quick, KT, what's the over/under for Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers, is he over or under 4 touchdowns?
For me,
Yes.
under. They're gonna run the
Really?
rock. Yeah, they're gonna run the rock. I would even argue that Drew Brees throws some more touchdowns. I still lose.
I think that they're going to be throwing it a lot more because the Saints can't protect the pass.
I mean, it depends. We got good Saints secondary, bad Saints secondary. You seen what they did to Mike Evans week 1? They put a blanket over him.
That's one dude.
Without Devontae Adams, is VS going to step up? Be interesting.
I think all the wide receivers in Green Bay are pretty talented, even the backup ones and the deep bench guys. I've seen a couple of practice videos. I've seen a couple of clips. I think that those guys can come out and produce and catch.
And
the ball
don't forget, Michael Thomas is still not playing.
And Michael Thomas is not
Right.
playing.
So both of them will be
Well,
without.
Michael Thomas is questionable. He might play, but I think that even with being questionable, I think he's going to be hindered enough to not be as productive, not nearly as
He
productive.
definitely won't be 100%, but after
Yeah,
losing to the
absolutely.
Raiders, this game he has to play. You only get 16 in the NFL. Alrighty, now on to the Cowboys and the Seahawks. Cowboys, Seahawks. And our overarching theme for this segment is, are the Seahawks allowing Russ to finally cook? These two teams met in the playoffs of the 2018 season, where the Cowboys were able to win that game in a thriller 24-22. They also met that regular season where the Seahawks won that one out in Seattle 24-13. Prescott numbers are looking pretty good this year. He has a quarterback rating of 101.7. He's averaging 358 yards a game. Would like to see more touchdowns. He only has 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. What can we say about Russ? We talk about Russ so much in this segment. This should be Russ R1P's network. Like, it's really his network. He's averaging 305 yards a game, a completion percentage of 82.5%. He has 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, and that interception was definitely not his fault. It was Greg Olsen's fault. Nomi, what are you most excited to see with this matchup?
I'm really excited to see Ezekiel Elliott against the Seattle defense. Seattle's defense hasn't been too great against the rush. They've already allowed 3 rushing touchdowns, and they haven't been able to stop the ball necessarily on the ground. I think that the ground game creates the passing game. So as soon as Ezekiel Elliott's able to be successful, so will Dak Prescott. But also the same can be said if they can shut down Ezekiel Elliott. I think they can also shut down Dak Prescott in the process.
Wow. Great take, Jalen. I know you care a lot about this matchup. And also, I bet you have a fun fact as well.
Well, my fun fact was more towards Moon, because all I was gonna say is that it's a fun fact that both of these teams beat the Falcons.
Oh, I'm gonna get to that, big bro. I got you.
Oh man.
That's a little cold, Jalen. Not
It
gonna lie.
is.
Cold at
Just
all.
a little bit.
That's not cold at all.
Hey, Moon, you might even have to invite him to a segment on Fantasy Vibes and really get at him. Continue, Jalen.
So what I look forward to in this game is how does DK Metcalf do against this Cowboys secondary and cornerbacks, because we saw what he did to Stephon Gilmore last week. Stephon Gilmore is arguably the best corner in the league, but he made Stephon Gilmore look like a baby sometimes last week. Actually, most of the time. And also, what I'm looking for is how Dak Prescott and the rest of the Cowboys offense performs against the Seahawks, because the Seahawks defense is better than the Falcons. And we all being honest, the Cowboys only came back because it's the Falcons defense. So my question is, how would they look against a better defense? And remember, they struggled against the Rams. So that's what I really look forward to this matchup.
Moon Vibes. Any rebuttals?
Plenty of rebuttals, my bro. Listen, first and foremost, both of these teams played the Falcons, so both of their numbers are skewed. Let's just look at that and be honest. And I'm more impressed with Russell Wilson than I am with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, can you have his stats pulled up, KT?
Yes, his quarterback rating is 101.7. He averages 358 yards per game, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Cap. His numbers are inflated by the Atlanta Falcons defense, but guess what? Both of these teams played the Falcons. Seattle put up 38. The Cowboys put up 40. Let's just be honest, bro. Let's be honest. That first game against the Cowboys is the Cowboys versus Rams is who the Cowboys really are as far as their offense. It's not who they were against the Falcons. Now, Seattle, they did play the Patriots week 2, and DK Metcalf just kind of bullied Stephon Gilmore, and that's the interesting matchup I'm looking for. But I'm more impressed with Seattle than I am the Cowboys, and I just don't want the people in the audience just to get it twisted. Like, hey, both of these teams are putting up numbers. They played the Falcons. That has to count for something, like, or count for nothing if you think about it. So I think Dak Prescott's numbers is just like inflated right now. But they'll come back to earth. I know you mentioned the Seattle Seahawks run defense, giving up 3 touchdowns, but they actually ranked number 2 in the league right now, giving up 60 yards a game. It's going to be interesting to see like what Zeke does in this game, but I think the matchup that I want to see is just Russell Wilson versus everybody.
I agree with that. I really like Russell Wilson, and I think that let Russ cook is amazing. But also 3 rushing touchdowns while only allowing 140 total rushing yards means they're giving it up in the red zone. And if you are giving up touchdowns on the ground in the red zone, Ezekiel Elliott's going to eat you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because even Todd Gurley got him a rushing touchdown. He hasn't even been productive this year, if we're just being honest. But if we're talking about honesty, I'm honestly not really looking forward to this game, because I just feel like it's going to be a shootout. Even though people are expecting defenses to show up, I don't really feel like it's going to be like that. But I think the matchup that I'm looking forward to is, can Mike McCarthy keep up? Seattle's defense, I do agree, is better than the Falcons. But like, can Mike McCarthy not get behind? Can they play a game where they're out in front? They were behind against the Rams. They were behind against the Falcons. Can we see what they offense look like when they're ahead of the chains, when they are when they are have a lead. That's what I'm interested to see. I'm not really worried about Pete Carroll. I'm not really worried about the since the 12s are not going to be there. It's going to be not really a home field advantage. But if anything, I learned in the first 2 weeks of the season, both of these teams played the Falcons, so that has to count for something, bro. Like their numbers are slightly inflated. But if I just have to look at what the stats are, Russell Wilson has like an 82.5 completion percentage. I think it's barbecue chicken for that secondary in Dallas, and I don't think anybody can cover DK Metcalf. And Tyler Lockett is slick, a great fantasy play this week.
Wow, that was a lot there, Moon Vibes. The Cowboys are quite a bit banged up, but I want to go back to your point about Dak Prescott, and I'm on the record for saying I'm a huge Dak Prescott fan. But I went and I looked up a statistic, and 4 of the 5 quarterbacks who led in passing yards last year did not go to the playoffs. That was Jameis Winston, Dak Prescott. I'm sorry, all 5 of them didn't go to the playoffs. Jameis Winston, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan. Are those all garbage yards? I mean, how do you evaluate that, Mo?
Um, I don't necessarily say they're garbage yards, but I just think that it's a testament to if you are one dimensional for your team, you're not going to be able to be in contention when it's time to go for chasing ring. I think those teams, you said Jameis, you said Jared Goff, you said Matt Ryan. Who were the other two? Dak and
Phillip
one
Rivers.
more, Phillip Rivers. I'm interested to see what their interception numbers were because honestly, I think all of their interception numbers were high last year, all over 15, if I'm correct. Jameis probably being the highest. And I think that when you put your team in negative positions when it comes to turning the ball over, you're going to have to make up for that as far as passing the ball because you're behind. So I think that goes into it. So I think it is a combination of garbage yards, but I think it also is just not being on the same, not having a balance between your attack. Now it works. I feel like it can work in college football. You don't necessarily have to pass, but when you are one dimensional in the NFL, you kind of see where it leads you.
Adding to your point, the next quarterbacks we're talking number 6 through 13 were all playoff quarterbacks. Cool Brad, how do you feel about this matchup?
Honestly, I feel like the only thing that the Seahawks have to worry about is Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield because their deep rush defense isn't that good. But besides that, I don't even think it's gonna be close, dude. If they almost lost to the Atlanta Falcons, man, like, dude, like, how do they expect to beat the Seahawks? You know what I mean?
Hold on, Brad. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
That Seahawks and that Atlanta Falcons game was a lot
Was way closer
than it
than
appears.
their numbers said. Yeah.
Yep.
That
yep,
Patriot Seahawks game was very close.
exactly. Yep. Yep.
Know
Then I'll
me.
read about.
What about your predictions?
Predictions for this game. Seattle comes out winning. Russ cooks. I'm going to say 31-28.
Jalen, predictions.
35-21 Seahawks. And I only say that because I don't think this Cowboys offense will really score that much, and Russell Wilson will throw the ball all over the place against the Cowboys.
Moon Vibes, prediction.
31-28 late field goal by the kicker for the Seattle Seahawks walk off, just to do the Cowboys dirty, just like they did us last week.
LL Cool Brad, you said it's not going to be close. Prediction.
31-25. Sorry, 35-21.
35-25. My prediction:
21.
the Cowboys win. I don't. If you really look at Seattle's first 2 games, I have no faith in that defense. No faith whatsoever. Matt Ryan threw for 450. Cam Newton looked like it was 2015, and he was dabbing again. Like, come on. I'm not going with Seattle's defense. I can't go with Seattle's defense. And we actually had a person comment, I forgot his name, He was saying Matt Ryan got a lot of garbage yards, and I think that's a segment we need to have moving forward about garbage yards. Is it a real thing? But I got the Cowboys winning this one 31-21. Moon vibes.
Dak Prescott had a lot of garbage yards too last week too.
Are they garbage yards in the window?
Yep, absolutely.
How?
Whether you win or lose, it doesn't mean that you ain't playing like garbage. Like you still need to come back. That game was not really close in the first half. Honestly, it took the fourth quarter and actually the third quarter, some crazy possessions for them to come back after halftime, and they finally got their stuff together. But it was really like Nomi's point with him, Ezekiel Elliott getting them touchdowns in the red zone. Like that's really what helped them. Dak Prescott was just giving you a lot of yards in garbage time. Now they barely won, but if it wasn't for that offside kick, it's a totally different story. And Dak Prescott's walking home with a record of 0-2 going into the game against Seattle, who's 2-0.
They've also given up 800. The Seattle defense has given up 831 passing yards in the first two games. 831.
800 in 2 games?
800. So CeeDee Lamb probably about to go off. I think that he's going to have like possibly 150 yards. It's going to be crazy.
Before we leave this segment, Moon Vibes, tell them a little bit about Fantasy Vibes.
Yo, Fantasy Vibes is a new show from R1P, Real Ones Productions. I'm your host, Nomi the Homie. Right above me is my co-host, and we dive into all things fantasy. We have some really great segments, some really great aesthetics. It's beautiful to look at. We give you energy, we give you stats, we give you calculated assassin with Nomi, and you get Moon Vibes with me. So, check it out. It's there. First episode came out this week on Wednesday. It's doing numbers, and we'll love for you to engage, support our content, and also follow the movement here at Real Ones Productions.
Hey, man, Moon Vibes gave y'all the humble version. I'm going to give you the real version. If you struggling with your fantasy, you in last place, all your homies teasing you, telling you don't know how to draft. You like the dude in the Corona commercial with Tony Romo. And you don't watch Fantasy Vibes. It's all on you. Put up next, we got the Rams. Oh, no, we covering the Bills on R1P? And we got the Bills.
Overrated.
Rams, Bills, one of the R1P's big 4 games this week. Overarching theme is who's having the more surprising year, Jared Goff or Josh MVP Allen. Let's get into some of the stats. The last time these two teams played was week 5 of 2016. The Bills won that game by the score of 30-19. Jeff Fisher should have been fired that game. Honestly, he called 2 fake punts, similar to what Mike McCarthy and his team did this week. Jared Goff's stats are as follows. He averages 271 yards a game. His quarterback rating is 108. He has 3 touchdowns on the season and 1 interception. Josh MVP Allen has 363 yards a game, quarterback rating of 122.8, 6 touches, 0 interceptions, and he's 4th on the quarterback rushing list. Nomi, what matchups are you excited to see this weekend?
I'm really excited to see Josh Allen go against a team that can actually play defense. Josh Allen has been playing really well, but I think we need to see him go against a team that can actually defend him and see how he does. We haven't seen any adversity yet, so it's kind of hard to judge right now, but I look forward to seeing what he can pull out this week.
Absolutely. Jalen, what are you excited to see this week?
The star matchup, in my opinion, it is Jalen Ramsey versus Stephon Diggs, and I really will enjoy this because Stephon Diggs is one of the best receivers in the NFL, and Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. And to me, I think this is Stephon Diggs' best competition at corner this season so far. So I'm really excited to see what Stephon Diggs will do against Jalen Ramsey.
Moon Vibes, what you most excited to see this weekend?
Both front sevens against these running back cores. That's what I'm interested to see. For the Rams, Can you establish a ground game just to try to control the clock, time of possessions, get some first downs, or maybe some third down conversions with Malcolm Brown and Cam Akers? Also, Daryl Henderson, who actually played pretty nicely last week, which is a good sign to see. And also from the opposite side, the Bills can Devin Singletary and Zach Moss and even Josh Allen because he has some rushing yardage this year. Can we see them get going against the Rams front seven, who's kind of still reeling after the loss of Corey Littleton? They're making up for it in their secondary, so it's not looking like that. But that's what I'm most excited for. And then, of course, like I said, coaching. Can Sean McVay continue to be not necessarily a one trick pony, but a pony that looks like a one trick, but then ends up busting out all these types of maneuvers and things? That's what I'm interested to see. So yeah, that's my what I'm looking for.
L Cool Brad, what are you most excited to see this weekend?
I'm most excited to see how the Rams defense, if they can get through to Josh Allen, if the Bills offensive line can hold up against a really good defensive line.
Absolutely. Nomi, what are your predictions?
My prediction is the Rams are going to win. I'm going to say 24-17. I really like the Bills. I think Josh Allen hasn't proved himself yet against a good team, so I can't really bet with him. I do like his receivers and that defense, though, so I definitely could see a world where they pull it off.
Jalen, what's your predictions for this week's game?
Rams 28-21, and I think it's going to be on the last person's drive, with with the ball in Josh Allen's hands, and I think Josh Allen throws an interception to lose the game.
I think we got a lot of interesting narratives here. Robert Woods, he's a beast. I don't know how Buffalo ended up letting him go. They ended up letting him and Sammy Watkins leave. But I did read an article. He is excited to come back to Western New York and kind of show us that we should not have traded him. Moon Vibes.
I'm picking the Bills. I'll tell you the score after I get to this stat. What I'm more interested, I mentioned it before, the running game. But the Bills right now have a third down conversion rate of 50%, 12 for 24 on third downs. And on the opposite side, they hold their opponents to 9 to 23 of third downs. This is important because and vital because Jared Goff, we saw in the first game against the Cowboys how they couldn't convert on third downs or they could not score in the red zone. And this was the deciding factor from them almost losing that game against the Cowboys. If Michael Gallup didn't have that pass called back with the pass interference with Jalen Ramsey, offensive pass interference with Jalen Ramsey, then that's a whole totally different ball game that the Rams are kind of reeling after. The game against Philly kind of made me, happy for the Rams. It was good to see Jared Goff, play well. But let's just be real. His numbers are kind of inflated when it comes to Tyler Higbee. It's like touchdown numbers. Tyler Higbee had 100 touchdowns last week, and I'm being sarcastic, but at the same time, like they went to him often. I know you mentioned Robert Woods, but I don't think this is a Robert Woods week. If anything, I think this is a Cooper Kupp week. It's and it's hard for me to say that because he hasn't been productive this year so far. I think if any game is set time for him to show out, I think it's this game, and I think Sean McVay makes a effort to get him involved in the game plan. But the third down conversion numbers is what makes me, cause for pause for the Bills. Can you sustain the drives? Can you be in a position where you are on the field and you're chewing clock? Can you be in a position where you are running the ball with Devin Singletary and Zach Moss and even a little sprinkle of Josh Allen, and not have Josh Allen do it all by himself like he did against Miami? He had 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. This game, I predicted Bob Shadamas, he's going to have 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions is going to come by way of Jalen Ramsey. standing by that. But I think he can still do that and they still win. Why? Because their defense is returning Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds. Dogs. Pure dogs that they are happy to have back. I think that score, I think it's a lower scoring game than we might think. Y'all have it in the 20s. I'm going to say like 17, one of those 17-16 type games in New York, Western New York, where offenses are trying to like get their bearings and go about it. And that would lead to my prediction coming true because that's 2 touchdowns for Josh Allen. So that's my take on the game.
LL Cool Brad, what is your prediction on this game?
I think with the Rams, with a really good defense, I will admit the Bills do have a good defense and offense, but I just feel like the Rams are going to upset them, and I feel like the final score is going to be 31-24.
I think you all had excellent takes, but the first time
Moon.
we go ahead, no.
Just real quick, hey Moon, what did Jalen Ramsey call Josh Allen?
Oh, we talking about back in the day. He called him trash. He called him trash.
I just wanted to make sure I remembered that. Right.
See, I know exactly where you're going with this next part.
So
think he was talking about
y'all
regular
know
trash.
daggone well that we not gonna talk about the Bills. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna have the last take. So let's get a couple things straight.
I already know what's going on.
This game is a matchup between the coaches. It's a matchup between Don McVay versus Leslie Frazier / Sean McDermott. 2 defensive-minded, oriented people. Finesse teams do not beat the Buffalo Bills. Teams that beat these Buffalo Bills have to out-physical the Buffalo Bills. That's why the Eagles came in Orchard Park last year and smacked us in our mouth last year. But what we do to Dallas on Thanksgiving?
But y'all also lost to the Jets.
You said we lost to the Jets?
If my memory
When
serves
did we
me
lose to the
correct,
Jets? We lost to the Jets last year?
Last
sure about
year
that?
at the end of the season.
You sure about that?
Let me look it up just to be sure. But if my memory corrects me, Buffalo Bills. Hold on, while I figure this out, I'm gonna come back. Let you go ahead. Keep talking.
I already know.
Hey, I got time today. We talk about the Buffalo Bills. Did they lose to the Jets last year?
I think they might have. I don't necessarily remember all the games last year that the Bills played, but
on December 29th, the Jets beat the Bills 13-6.
December 29th, the Jets beat the Bills 13-6.
That's correct.
13-6, December 29th?
Yeah.
That was, what week was that?
The week after Christmas.
Was that like
They
week
lost.
16?
They lost to New
17, I
England.
think.
They lost to New England week 4, 16-10.
Yeah, and that was week 17.
Did we start our players?
That's what I was just.
Josh Allen started that game. No, actually, I'm tripping. Barkley played.
I know.
Isaiah McKenzie. I think is that McKenzie?
Yeah.
played.
He's out slot receiver. We use him in a lot of jet motion packages. No, our starters didn't play that week.
But notice how they lost back-to-back games to end the season. One they lost against the New England Patriots at New England, and then they lost again against the Jets. And notice the trend when they losses. They losses. It seems like all they losses they don't score over 20 points.
You finished or you done?
Bro, I'm gonna.
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Go ahead, Brad.
I can't wait till that Steelers and Bills matchup, man. Oh boy.
We play y'all this year?
Yep.
Do I look afraid?
No, I'm not afraid either.
I say we should have to do some type of whoever teams lose, man. So it got to be something has to be done. We have to have some type of friendly.
No, I got an idea. I got an idea.
Be 0-7, and
I got an idea.
They'll say that they're gonna win the next 9 straight. So like, you're always gonna be with your Bills.
Who, me?
Yeah,
With the pick 'em, there are games that I will not pick the Bills.
I got an idea.
If it's a team that I think is more physical than us, that a healthy 49ers team is one of the most physical teams in the league. What they did to Green Bay last year, they would do to us. They will beat the bricks off of us if they are healthy. There's games I won't pick. Seattle Seahawks, depending if they get their defense together, I might not pick that game. And the Cardinals, I might not. The NFC West games, I don't like. I don't like those matchups at all. It's just the Rams are too finesse and we're too physical.
It's,
I like how you included all the teams in the NFC West, but left out the one team that they're going against.
Yeah, they're too finesse. They're finesse. They're finesse. A finesse style will never beat the Bills. Not this Bills thing.
Casey, I got a deal, bro.
What's the deal?
So, you guys, the listeners, you guys don't know about this yet, but we gonna do a challenge with some sort of chips. So, whoever's team loses, the loser has to eat 2 chips instead of 1.
That's not bad. We can talk more
what
about
week
that.
do we play?
I don't know, honestly. I just know that we play.
Y'all play
think it's
week 14 is a home game against Pittsburgh, and it's on NBC Sunday night.
On Sunday night again?
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
bet.
y'all only get one 2 Sunday night game.
It's a bet. You all heard that, right?
Yep.
Steelers, Bills. I'm not agreeing to 2 chips. I agree to 1 chip. You got to eat 1 chip. And you got to wait 5 minutes before you have any cold beverage.
All right, bet. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Alrighty. This is our take on the Rams and the Bills. Up next, we got the Raiders and the Patriots.
Continuing on with the show here, I'm Nomi the homie. This is Jalen the journalist right here. And we're talking about the Raiders and the Patriots. So I'm going to start with the Raiders injury report. Nick Kwiatkowski, along with Trent Brown and Henry Ruggs, are all out for this weekend, while we're looking at Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs as questionable. What do you got on the Patriots side, Jalen?
We got David Andrews, center, who is going to be out. You also have James White, who is out with a non-related injury. Then you have Josh Uche. And with questionable, you have N'Keal Harry, Isaiah Wynn, and Julian Edelman are the main pieces.
So with both of our teams, I think we're both looking at some pretty big injuries at the wide receiver and running back situations, especially like on my side, we're looking at Josh Jacobs and Henry Ruggs being a lot of their offensive production. And we're looking at James White along with N'Keal Harry and possibly Julian Edelman. Do you think that that is going to lead to this game being a defensively minded game?
Yes, and with that, and I believe Bill Belichick will want to make it a defensive minded game because I don't think he wants to get to a shootout like last week where he has to score a lot of points on offense like he did against the Seahawks. Because I don't think he feels comfortable a lot of times with that type of game, and I don't blame him because it's kind of hard. But defensively, yeah, I can see it being a big defensive game.
I definitely kind of agree with you there. I think that Bill Belichick is really good at creating a game, and instead of like focusing on how many points they can score or stopping the defense, he focuses on how many. Or just making sure that at the end of the game he has more points than the opponent, which I think is kind of an underrated aspect of him as a coach, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it is. And he did that a lot last year because with the wide receiver core being bad and Tom Brady getting a little bit older, he had to do that a lot last year to where he just had to make sure his team was just able to outscore the opponent and make sure the defense was at least able to hold the opponent to under, I believe, around 20 points.
There's only one linebacker injured on my side. It sounds like you got a couple of injuries on your side defensively. I think the Raiders defensively have been pretty awful this year. They've allowed an average of over 400 yards in the air per game. And that is just too much, especially to a team that has Cam Newton on it. I know that their wide receiver options are a little more limited, but I also feel like Cam Newton can cover up that gap. Do you think that offensively the Patriots and the Raiders will still be able to produce?
The Patriots. Well, yeah, just because last week's performance it showed that both offenses are capable of scoring, and last week the Patriots had 30 points against the Seahawks, and the Raiders surprisingly had 34 points against the Saints. So I think both offenses are capable of scoring, and I don't see this. But I don't see this being like a offensive game. It's more of a defensive. Can we hold this? Can we hold them to X amount of points?
I totally agree with what you're saying. I'm sorry, say that last part again.
But both offenses can get it done if needed.
I agree with what you're saying there. So I think that, but I also think that offensively the Patriots have a leg up. And I think that leg up is Derek Carr. Now, I know Derek Carr is on the other team, but that's exactly my point. If you look at the touchdown that he threw to Henry Ruggs, he actually underthrew that a lot, and that led to the collision at the goal line where Henry Ruggs got injured. And this is leading into the second week that he's missing because of that, and he barely played in his first game. Do you think that makes him, when he does come back, do you think he's going to be playing as hard as he can, or do you think he's going to be a little afraid of being led into safeties like Derek Carr is known to do?
I think he'll be a little bit afraid because, well, one, who likes getting hit? Like, especially for quarterback.
That's a good point.
Like, and it's like because I think you got to have in the back of your head like, oh well, do I trust my quarterback to make this deep ball throw and not lead me into the safety, or this slant and not lead me into like the linebacker or a safety that's coming down? So I think he will have to trust them with not leading them into safety, but will he trust them? I don't know.
You have any hot takes for this game?
I see Josh Jacobs. He's rushing for 2 touchdowns, and he's rushing for 175 plus.
That's a solid prediction. I was actually going to make a prediction about rushing as well, but it was going to be on the other side of the ball in the hands of Cam Newton. Okay. I'm really high on that guy, and I think that he is potentially a top 5 fantasy quarterback this year. And I think that he also will have, 100 yards and a touchdown on the ground.
Yes. So I'm gonna ask you a question. So how do you think wide receiver core with the Raiders would do with Henry Ruggs being out? Like, so how do you think the Raiders will try to adjust to him being out? Because he wasn't out last week because he played against the Saints, so he wasn't out last week. But do you think they can adjust? Because this Patriots defensive back is still pretty good. But so how do you think they will adjust to the Patriots?
I think if you look at the Raiders' offense right now, it looks really simplified. It looks really calm, and it looks like Derek Carr is making the right throws to the right people. But it's not necessarily hard throws. The plays that are being called aren't necessarily difficult, and it's because I don't know that the Raiders organization necessarily trusts Derek Carr. I know I don't, and for a team to be bringing in a backup quarterback who's making good money, Marcus Mariota it looks like a way to tell him, like, hi, if you're not stepping it up and doing what we expect, then we're going to replace you. I think that the wide receiver core there is less important than the production of Derek Carr. Right now, they're giving him easier passes, and his percentage shows it, and his stats look good this year. His quarterback rating is up over 100. He's maintaining really well. But the thing is that he hasn't really been challenged yet. So I really look forward to him seeing the New England Patriots this weekend. What's your score prediction for this one, Jalen?
Score prediction, Patriots Patriots 21, Raiders 17.
I like that score. I'm thinking a little bit higher. I'm going to say 35-32 Patriots. The Browns, we have Denzel Ward with a groin injury, linebacker Mac Wilson with a knee injury, defensive end Adrian Claiborne. Those three are all listed as questionable. And then the ones that are ruled out are Olivier Vernon, a linebacker Jacob Phillips, and cornerback Greedy Williams. Kevin Johnson fully participated, but for the first time in practice, so it's clearing the way for him to make his first start in the with the Browns. And Jack Conklin is not on the injury report at all, even though he missed last week. What do you got, KT?
Alrighty, over here for the Washington football team, we got Ryan Kerrigan. He was a full participant in practice on Friday. Thomas Davis Sr. was also a full participant in practice on Friday. They both will go. Sadiq Charles, unfortunately, is out. Cole Holcomb, once again, is out. Ryan Anderson was a full participant. He's a go. Steven Sims Jr. is questionable. Morgan Moses is questionable. And, of course, Brandon Sheriff is on IR. So I have a couple of questions. In order for Cleveland to win this game, they do blank.
I don't really know if I have an answer for that. The Cleveland defense has been, it feels like they are the exact opposite of Russell Wilson at this point, where they're getting into those close games, but they just keep managing to lose them. Right. And I think that is really heavily on their defense, but also their offense has been producing a whole lot less than their defense has. Their defense has allowed 53 overall first downs. Their passing game is awful, and get this, their opponents are 5 for 5 on fourth downs.
Wow.
That's absolutely ridiculous. And they're almost 14 of 29 on third downs, which is almost 50%. Their defense is not stopping the ball. Their offense isn't moving the ball. They have a total all season of less than 400 passing yards, which means less than 200 per game, which is absolutely awful. The touchdowns that they do end up getting, I feel like they're doing a good job of getting into the end zone on big plays, but their offense and defense haven't been able to move at all consistently. When we're looking at their defense, though, their passing defense really sticks out to me and how bad it is. They've allowed 6 of their total 8 touchdowns on passing plays. So I think everyone really needs to show up more. But I think that I'm looking at that offense more than I'm looking at that defense, because you need to at least have 200 passing yards a game.
It's interesting that you said their secondary has been struggling with Greedy Williams and Ward. You would think that they had a pretty solid secondary, so that's interesting. Over here in Washington, their team is playing Ron Rivera style football. Quarterback Dwayne Haskins hasn't turned the ball over this season. He's not going to win you a whole bunch of games, but he's not going to lose you a game either. I think they'll be flirting around somewhere near 8-8, 9-7 with a chance to either win the division or make it as that 7th seed. When will we get a full Odell Beckham sighting? Do you think that can happen this week against Washington's secondary?
I don't know if we will ever see an Odell Beckham specifically, like a game where he goes off. I feel like, especially when he was in New York, a lot of the time he was the expected offense on that team. So he got the ball a lot more because of the lack of people that can produce around him. But in Cleveland now, they have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. They have Jarvis Landry. They have players everywhere that can catch the ball and produce well. So he's not the only reliable option for them. So he's not the only person that person is looking for. I think we all made jokes at the end of the Eli Manning years there about how it felt like they were just playing a game of catch between Eli Manning and Odell Beckham over and
Right.
over again.
Right.
Because that's what it was. They were only passing to one guy, really, and looking for gaps for that one guy. I think that he's a really great distraction on the field right now, and I think that that's how they use him. And honestly, I think that that might be his best role. I think that he is an incredible player. I don't think that he's going to be able to perform at the level that he could.
So any are any of those factors involving Baker Mayfield? Is he a part of the problem? Is it the scheme? What is it?
I think it. You know, that's a hard question to answer.
Mhm.
I really like Baker Mayfield, but I don't feel like he has produced that well in the NFL. But also, I don't feel like he's been put in a position to produce in the NFL. The Browns organization isn't an organization that you want to be with, and it's not one you want to trust with your career. Um, so when they are in charge of your roster and the people that you're playing with, then it just feels like you're kind of already at a detriment. You're in a hole, and the only way that you can actually uh, get better from there is they need a whole. I think their entire front office needs a whole change up. So I
Wow.
don't think that Baker Mayfield is the issue. I think he could be playing better, but I also think that it's more of the scheme than it is him.
I would have to agree with you. And honestly, he's shown flashes, but we haven't seen a fraction of what he was able to do at Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley, the quarterback whisperer.
I totally agree. I think that if you look around, um, you can see a lot of people that have had trouble producing that have ended up with better coaches and have produced better and have done better. It's happened over and over again in the NFL where people will give up on a rookie, and then a few years later, you're all like, "Oh crap, this dude is still here, and now he's popping off." I feel like the running back in Arizona, Kenyon Drake, is a really good example of that.
Hmm.
He came into the league the same year as Derrick Henry, as Derrick Henry's backup, and people kind of overlooked him and forgot about him in Miami. Um, but he was able to produce and continue to grind and continue to move forward until he was on a team that was producing and was successful. And I think that they're looking really good right now. So I think that that's kind of the mold that you're looking for, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So I want you to put on your GM cap right now. At Oklahoma, Kyler Murray backed up Baker Mayfield. As Nomi really put on the cap. If you're a GM and you had the chance to pick any coach, regardless of the coach, the perfect scheme, let's just call it the perfect scheme, and you could draft Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray, who are you taking and why?
First of all, my favorite offensive scheme has always been the Chip Kelly spread.
Hmm.
I know that Chip Kelly didn't survive that well in the NFL.
Hmm.
I don't think that that was completely his fault, though. If you
No.
look at his record when he was in Philly, it really wasn't that bad. He made some moves to create chemistry, like getting DeMarco Murray and Sam Bradford on the same team,
Hmm.
Kiko Alonso and his defense that he already understood from college. I think that that offense can produce really well. And in that offense, I'm going to choose Kyler Murray 9 times out of 10. You want somebody who has that arm, who can make those quick passes, who can make those quick reads, and who can freaking move. And that's Kyler Murray for you.
Wow, so Kyler Murray is your selection. I'm torn between this. I guess it would kind of depend on your locale. I believe that Baker Mayfield, I believe, is a cold weather quarterback. I feel like Murray would be faster, like indoors. So for the Bills, of course, I would take Baker. If it was just because of the weather and the weather only. So
I
what do
hear
you?
what you're saying. Like, I
Mm,
feel like if Arizona happens to run into Green Bay and has to go to Green Bay within Kyler Murray's first couple of years in the league, I definitely think that that's going to be a struggle, especially in like the playoffs in January when it's fucking snowing out there. You know what I
hmm.
mean?
Absolutely.
Uh, but I think that he'll struggle at first, but I also think that he's a smart quarterback, and I like what I see so far. and I don't see an issue with him adjusting and becoming successful in those situations in the future. I feel like anybody would struggle in those going to Green Bay, going to New England situations at the beginning of their career, you know?
Absolutely, and I think that's why. Speaking of the Bills, that's why the Bills took Josh Allen. They took the strong arm over pinpoint accuracy of Darnold or Rosen, just because they wanted a cold weather quarterback. So, what are your predictions for this game?
Um, I think Cleveland loses again by a hair. They have a tendency to do that, and Ron Rivera and the Washington football team look really good right now.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to bet against them until I see them start to decline, uh, at least far enough to where I can see them losing to the Browns, and that's not this week.
Gotcha. You got a score?
Um, I'll say the Browns put up 35, so let's say 42-35.
42-35. I'm going to actually, we probably should have switched roles. I'm going to go with the Browns, and the Browns only because they had 10 days to prepare for this game. And I think that makes a difference. I expect them to come out, fire all cylinders, and take advantage of Washington's aggressiveness because they are an elite pass rushing unit. So if they can, get the running game going and set them up with some screens and some play actions, I think they'll be able to take some chances there. A score, I'm going probably much lower. Want to go with 24-17 Cleveland.
And even with that being said, I honestly hope that I'm wrong. Like with the talent that they have in Cleveland, I love that team. Like offensively, if you look at them, we're looking at Baker Mayfield. We're looking at Nick Chubb. We're looking at Kareem Hunt. We're looking at Odell Beckham. We're looking at Jarvis Landry. We're looking at the team is so deep on offense, and
Absolutely.
every single person that touches the ball is a stud. I think that they just need to figure out schematically, how does this work? How do we put it together?
All right, and one last question before we end this segment. If you don't know, Nomi is the co-host of the new R1P show, Fantasy Vibes. So, of course, I have to ask you a fantasy question. Who has more fantasy points this week, Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think Kareem Hunt, because if you look at the last couple of games, he has been catching the ball a lot more. And I feel like, especially in a PPR league, you're looking at an extra point per catch, and then the yardage that comes from those screen plays and the other catches that he's making. I feel like it's fair to say that he averages around 10 yards per catch and will continue to do so. So I think Kareem Hunt will do that, will lead between him and Nick Chubb. But I also am hoping that it's more of a wide receiver game this week.
Wow, you heard it here first at R1P with Nomi the homie. Up next, we got Texans Steelers with Moon Vibes and LL Cool Brad.
What's going on, guys? It's LL Cool Brad from Reels Productions, and today I'm going to be taking you guys over the Steelers injury report. Okay, so the only player on the Steelers injury report is Juju Smith-Schuster. He previously had a knee injury, but he said on Instagram this morning that he will be playing this week against the Texans. On to my man Moon Vibes.
So I'll tell you the Texans injury report. Cullen Gillespie, the fullback, practiced in full. Titus Howard and J.J. Watt also practiced in full. Now, in limited capacity was Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver, Duke Johnson, the running back, Peter Kalambayi, the linebacker, and Laramie Tunsil, the left tackle, who practiced in limited capacity going in. Now, the best news of this is defensive end and three-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, J.J. Watt, being a full participant in practice. Now, since I talked about J.J. Watt, I got to pass it off to Yellow Cool Brad. So tell me, I'm about to give you a series of questions, kind of like rapid fire, but you tell me what your gut feel, okay?
Okay.
All right, so JJ or TJ, who has more sacks going in after this game?
I feel like TJ Watt will have more sacks because I feel like the Steelers' offensive line is more durable than the Texans' offensive line. So I feel like TJ Watt will be able to get in and sack Deshaun Watson not too hard.
Who will have more tackles?
I feel like JJ will.
who will have more tackles for losses?
Um, I'm gonna go with TJ again because I just feel like he can get through that offensive line relatively easier than JJ Watt could the Steelers offensive line.
Big Ben, is he over or under 300 passing yards against this Texans defense?
Mm, I'm gonna say under by 35 yards, so I feel like he goes for at least 265. Goes for 265.
That's a pretty specific number. Juju Smith-Schuster, over or under 10 targets?
I don't. I think Big Ben is gonna spread out the ball a lot, so I think it's gonna be at least I'd say 6 or 5 targets.
My last question for you, and this little mini rapid fire: Deshaun Watson, over or under 4 sacks against him?
Over. Honestly, I feel like the Steelers defense can get through that offensive line pretty easily.
Now with Laramie Tunsil, the left tackle practicing and limited, we're still worried about his availability when it comes to game time. Now we hope that he's going to play, but any blow to the offensive line is just hurting Deshaun Watson. So what are your keys to a Steelers win in this game?
I feel like Big Ben has to throw the ball pretty frequently, not frequently, but well. And I feel like Deontay Johnson and Big Ben, everybody has to be on the same page, no matter what the offensive line, the wide receiver core, they all have to be on the same page. And I just feel like I said, all of them have to be on the same page, but especially Deontay Johnson because he's had some a little mess up against the Giants. He missed
The
the
little
pass.
fumble. Yeah, a
He's
fumble, and then he missed the pass earlier, ran around route, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, so
But
I just feel. Yeah.
with Deontay Johnson, though, I'll stick with him really quickly. He's been a great add to this offense, and he's just a target machine, especially for Ben. He seems like he actually has the highest target share on the Pittsburgh Steelers currently. With him this week still dealing with the toe injury, do you think that hinders him in any way, or should we expect like full go Deontay Johnson coming into this week?
I mean, I kind of feel like we haven't seen the full Deontay Johnson yet, to be honest with you, this season. I feel like he's still bringing up momentum and trying to get more chemistry with Big Ben since he's never played with him before. So, yeah.
That's interesting that you say that. So, since I talk about Big Ben, I'll talk about the backfield. James Conner, he got hurt in that first game, and everybody was kind of just like, "Yo, James Conner, why can't you just stay healthy?" Now, then we saw the resurgence. We saw the emergence, I should say, of Benny Snell. He had over 100 yards rushing that first game. The second game, they kind of reestablished, like, "Yo, James Conner is our guy." Tell me how you feel about James, and how do you feel about him going into this game?
I don't think James Conner's going to be playing for a little bit. I feel like he's going to be out until after midseason, so I don't know if he's going to really be that big of a factor this season. Benny Snell, though, I feel like he's building up momentum.
Cool. So, since we talk about the Steelers a lot, let's talk about the Texans, and let's shift the focus to their offense. Now, they have the 29th ranked offense and scoring offense in the league. Their offensive line is probably one of the worst pass blocking units. Some people just aren't sold on the Houston Texans right now, especially after they release new options. And Kyler Murray just seems to be going crazy with them right now. Now, they face one of the best pass rushing defenses in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a defense that blitzes more than anybody in the NFL as well. Vegas has the Texans as 4-point underdogs, and I know that you feel like it should be way more. But honestly, do you think that with the Texans and their pass blocking, do you think it's in their best interest to try to establish a run game, seeing that David Johnson only had like 11 carries last week against the Ravens?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's going to be hard because the Steelers' defense is just so good on pass rush. Sorry, not pass rush. Running. Stopping the run. I just feel like it's going to be really hard for them to start a run game this game. I feel like Deshaun Watson's going to have to pass the ball most of this game.
So that makes Deshaun Watson an interesting play for me this week going into fantasy. If I bring fantasy in here, I actually have Deshaun Watson as a top 10 quarterback this week. And I just feel like it's for a lot of reasons. Just if the Steelers are vulnerable anyway, I think it's in their secondary. We're just seeing Jeff Driscoll cook up last week, even though people don't are not sold on him long term.
And I'll say this too. I'll say this: that second half against the Broncos, the Steelers defense just fell asleep. I'll just say that.
So they're vulnerable. Like they're not like they're elite, but they're not able to like keep their wits about them a whole game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, one of the things the Steelers need to do to win the game is the defense play a full good 4 quarters.
And we have yet to see that happen. For the Texans offense, we mentioned David Johnson before. I'm interested to see how they use Duke Johnson this week. When he plays, can that be more pass catching opportunities for both of them out of the backfield, more routes run out of the backfield or out of the slot? I think so. I think also that, they're capable, not only runners, but receivers as well. And I think that with this being a game where they're going to be blitzed a lot, they're going to have to hold up in pass protection. But also, Deshaun Watson is going to have to take some shots downfield since the Steelers blitz more than any team. Now, Brandon Cooks is somebody that I am keeping my eye on this week because last week he kind of emerged as like a deep threat with his long reception of 38 yards, and he actually had a 19 yards per catch average. So
real quick. Did you know that Chase Claypool has a 25-yard average on reception?
I mean, an 80-yard touchdown would do that for you. Like, it'll help you out a lot.
He doesn't have the most, but he's got a good average right now.
I want to see them get him more involved in the offense. And speaking of receivers, the Texas receivers, Will Fuller still dealing with some injuries right now, although he wasn't listed on the injury report. He seems to be a healthy start this coming week. How many catches do you see for Will Fuller this week? Over or under 6?
I'm gonna say under, but 5. I think
5, so barely
borderline. Yep.
What about Brandon Cooks? Over or under 5 catches?
I feel like over 5 catches because he's going to be one of the top targets that Deshaun throws to this game.
Exactly. So I feel the same way. Another top target that he's going to have to get involved is Jordan Akins. Now, Jordan Akins can kind of compete with the Steelers linebacking core that maybe isn't as good in the pass coverage than they are with run stopping. And we saw Devin Bush and Vince Williams show that last week when Devin Bush gave up some yards to Noah Fant on a touchdown. And then Vince Williams failed to keep Melvin Gordon on a wheel route. They have 2 weeks of film now. So that's what Nomi always says, if you get more film, then hey, they can make more adjustments. Because they blitz so much, I could see Deshaun Watson leaning on his safety blanket, who is Jordan Akins. And I wouldn't be surprised that he gets a touchdown this week or some solid yardage out of the tight end spot. And fun fact, Deshaun Watson's only touchdowns this season, 2 of them has come through Jordan Akins and Darren Fells in the tight end spot. My next question to you is, as we wind down, who has more turnovers in this game, the Texans or the Steelers?
The Texans do, because I just feel like the Texans' offensive line is more vulnerable than the Steelers' offensive line. I feel like Devin Bush, Bud Dupree, T.J. Watt can get in there and force some fumbles. So that's what Deshaun Watson, he's got to take care of the ball this game.
Now, you mentioned Chase Claypool earlier, and they connected on a deep ball to Ben Roethlisberger, but also someone who's been super happy to have Big Ben back and healthy now is Juju. Like, we've been seeing Juju seem like he's having so much fun out there with his touchdown dances, jumping into the crowd, lying down in front of the pylon, kicking his feet and everything like that. Like, do you see a big game from Juju? Like, if you had to bank on one Steelers receiver to go crazy this week, and I mean go crazy as in over 100 yards, who is that guy, and is it Juju?
Honestly, hot take right now. I feel like Deontay Johnson and Juju will get over 100 yards this game.
Wow. Texans defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, he's been rotating a lot of cornerbacks, and he's been doing it in and out of the game plan and shifted their responsibilities, and that's a lot on a secondary to handle. Now I give him credit because he's mixed and this mixed coverages and disguised them pretty
Yeah.
well, and he can make it harder on the quarterback. But like mentioned before, Big Ben, although he's had some big time throws this year, he's also made some mistakes as well. And I'm just happy to see him recover from the pretty nasty injury that he had with his elbow last year.
Absolutely.
And you said that they both have over 200. That's really hot take, but I'll put
100,
another
sorry.
hot take over. Deontay Johnson and Juju will have over 100 too. I agree with you. But my hot take is for the Texans. I think David Johnson has 115 scrimmage yards in this game. I don't know if it's going to come from the form of like screens or wide receiver check down or in the slot or running plays for him, but they have to get him involved. These 2 weeks against the Ravens and the Chiefs, it has not looked pretty. So hopefully they reevaluate and go into this week saying, hey, we need to make him more of a focus going into this game, or Deshaun Watson is going to have to hold up and get the ball out quick with this pass protection.
I will agree with you. I will agree with you with David Johnson getting over 100 yards on scrimmage, from scrimmage. I wouldn't say 115, but I say he just makes the 100 mark. I feel like they're going to go to him for a lot of screens and stuff like that, maybe a few wheel routes. But yeah.
So we get into the game, and now it's time for predictions. We gave you the analysis. We gave you the injury report. It's that time, LL Cool Brad. What is your prediction for this game? And keep it real on Real Ones Productions.
I think the Steelers are walking away with a 14-point win, 28-14 against the Texans this week.
28-14, 2 touchdowns. Favorite. Now there, Vegas has them as 4-point underdogs, and I'm gonna kind of go with Vegas on this one. I say the Texans cover this week. They only lose by 3. I say the score is around the ballpark of 24-21 Steelers, since it's at Heinz Field. I love how the Steelers play at Heinz. Yeah. I think it'll be too much for Deshaun Watson to overcome, but I think that he has a solid day passing wise, and we might even see a David Johnson sighting, get over 115 scrimmage yards. You may see Will Fuller get involved into the offense, which I hope. Yeah. So that's my pick. That's Brad's pick. This is Real Ones Productions. This is LL Cool Brad and Moon Vibes. I'm here to talk about the Steelers and the Texans, and we're off to the next segment. What's good? It's Jalen and Moon Vibes here to give you updates on his Chicago Bears that he only claims half the time because he's a New England Patriots fan, and my Atlanta Falcons, who I only claim 99% of the time because they always taking horrible L's. I'm gonna start with the Falcons injury report because it's longer than the Bears, extremely longer than the Bears. Friday, September the 25th. Full participation. Tackle Jake Matthews had a knee. DN Charles Harris had an ankle. DN Jacob Tutti Morena had a knee. D tackle Tyler Davison had an ankle as well. They all practiced in full. Limited participation. Safety DeMonte KZ had a hip. Maybe it's because Ezekiel Elliott truck sticked him in the end zone. Who knows? He had a hip. He didn't practice in full. Foye Aluakon, who had like 3 forced fumbles last week, had a hamstring injury. He practiced in limited. Dante Fowler Jr. ankle. Tackle Caleb McGarry had a knee injury. Tight end Luke Stalker had a hip injury. Marlon Davidson had a knee. He's our draft pick that we had this year, where we're bringing along slowly. But notable names that did not participate in practice on Friday. Ricardo Allen had an elbow. Tat McKinley had a groin strain that he had in the Dallas Cowboys game. Kendall Sheffield, he's been battling a foot injury throughout this whole season, so he still hasn't played yet. Most likely he's not going to play on Sunday. Wide receiver Julio Jones is dealing with the hamstring, and just to be honest with y'all, it seems like it's more serious than they originally led us to believe. Also notable people that sat out but not injury related, just for rest, was James Carpenter, the guard, and also Todd Gurley getting rest as well. He's a running back for our team. That's the Falcons injury report. Jalen, I think the only injury we had for the Bears was Khalil Mack.
Yeah. Khalil Mack was limited this week in practice, but I really believe he's going to play this week.
Yeah, I see him playing too. It'll be a great situation for him, not only just for their front four, but I think it'll be a great situation just for their pass coverage as a whole, because you know how the pass coverage and the defensive line work hand in hand.
Yeah.
So when we talk about this game and your early, I guess you could say, what are you looking forward to in this game the most?
I'm looking forward to see how Mr. Trubisky performs against this terrible Falcons defense. And before I get into that, Boom, can you answer me this question? In the first 2 weeks, how many total points did the Falcons give up?
At least 100. Nah, in all seriousness, it's probably over 70.
Yeah, it was 78. And
How far are they like in the lead? Is it bad?
they're a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. No, a touchdown and a field goal on my head.
Wow. So 10 points in the lead ahead of the next closest team, being the worst in the NFL. That's crazy, bro. That's really crazy.
Yeah, but
So
the reason
go ahead, bro.
you
You were talking about Mitch.
but the reason I said thing is to watch it is Mr. Trubisky versus Falcons defense is because Mr. Trubisky hasn't really performed too well this season. He had that first half against the Giants and he had that fourth quarter against the Lions, but he hasn't performed consistent through 4 quarters or at least good enough through 3 quarters to where they can just relax in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that begins with his throwing motion. He has a terrible throwing motion like Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow couldn't be successful because he threw like a terrible high schooler that didn't have training.
Mm-hmm.
And Trubisky's his throwing motion is better than Tim Tebow's, but it's still bad compared to most starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL. And that has a lot to do with his accuracy because throwing motion can throw off your accuracy.
Yes.
And you could see that like against the Lions, he would make throws like a crossing route. He would throw that way in front of Allen Robinson or way behind Anthony Miller. And you saw that with that pick against the Giants. He threw it down the sideline, but he never let him like Allen Robinson had to turn his body to be able to catch that ball, and Allen Robinson shouldn't have to do that. So so that's the reason.
So your issues with Mitch is revolved around accuracy.
Yes.
Okay. What do you have the same reservation when it comes to him being able to run and make up for that, or is his running ability and him being able to escape, because he's quicker than we give him credit for?
Yeah.
Is that enough to make a Bears organization and a Bears fan base happy? Or do you feel like his accuracy, until he finally resolves that and puts together a full game, 4 quarters where he is accurate on the money and living up to the Money Mitch name, like, do you think that, they'll be like, hey, you'll start hearing the Nick Foles rumors coming out?
But most of my family are Bears fans, and their friends are Bears fans. So I get to hear a lot of input about Mr. Trubisky, and I can tell you right now, they do not care about his running ability because they know he can run, but they know he can't be accurate through 4 quarters with confidence. Like, he just can't, and it's so bad because it's like fans want him to be accurate, but it's just that he can't be accurate, and I don't know what the problem is. So Bears fans are mostly. They don't care about his feet. They don't care if his legs are cut off. He needs to be able to throw the ball, and that's all they care about.
So we shift the topic from Mitch. I got one last question for you. Even if he does put some numbers against the Falcons defense, we saw Russell Wilson torch us. We see Dak Prescott torch us. Even if he does put out numbers, is it going to be one of those wins or outings where we say, yeah, he put up numbers, but nah, that was the Falcons.
I would say yes, and that would be a lot of quarterbacks with the that face the Falcons this year.
Mm-hmm.
Man, because the Falcons defense is just bad. If I'm not mistaken, they have given up. They're last in the league when it comes to like um um uh, opponent points per game, and that's bad. Which the average is 39 for them.
Yes.
It's bad.
And it's bad all the way around. I'll talk about their defense in a second. We talk about let's shift the topic to the Falcons really quick before I get back to the Bears a little bit later. So Julio Jones hamstring injury, I think is going to be a problem going into the game, and they'll probably limit him as far as reps, or maybe not have him be a central part of the game plan. We saw Saquon Barkley before he got hurt. On the, I guess he was on the way to putting up big numbers and having a great day. Everybody was kind of like, "Hey, could Saquon bounce back from the Steelers game and put out a decent outing against the Bears?" But unfortunately, he got hurt. Players up to Saquon, of course. But is this a game? I know me personally, I feel like this is a game that Todd Gurley gets established and we establish the run. Is this a game that you feel that way too for Todd Gurley?
Yes, and I say that because the Bears are missing Eddie Goldman, and that front and the really that defensive line for the Bears are still Pro Bowl quality. They got Khalil Mack, of course. They got Akeem Hicks and Robert Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the problem is that Saquon was probably on the pace because if I'm not mistaken, he tore his ACL when he had like 75 yards. If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And really he was on the pace for at least $120. And if I'm not mistaken, Adrian Peterson ran for 75 yards.
Yeah.
So
He did. He did get his. Everybody was like, "Yo, pick up." I even said, "Hey, you might need to pick up AP on the waiver wire after that game." Um, it. I feel like Todd Gurley has a bounce back game. Uh, maybe not to the point where I'm saying like 125, 150, but I think he gets close to 100, maybe a touchdown or two in a situation. Go ahead, bro.
if Tyler Gurley does bad this game, I don't think he'll be good for the rest of the season.
Wow, that's a bold take. But I have to kind of agree with you in a way because it's just like if you can't make this matchup work, the matchups are only going to get tougher. And I would love to see Dirk Cutter tailor him and feature him more in the game. Just like we saw with David Montgomery getting featured last week against the Giants. Like, tell me how you feel about David Montgomery, not only with his running ability and them running that little stretch scheme, but also in his passing ability as well as far as pass catching.
Well, I think they will try to tailor the scheme around David Montgomery a little bit more. And I say that because I think they trust him because I think they know what type of running back he can be.
Mm.
And I think that's a good running back that can run for 1,000 yards this season if barring injuries and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really think they really didn't run a lot with him last year. If I'm not mistaken, he had I think 100 touches last season and for 850 yards, and that's not bad. And especially for a running back that was just a rookie, people were saying that's a bad season. I'm like, he's a rookie running back. It's his first year. 850 yards isn't that bad.
And he had a lot of games where there was limited carries for him and limited opportunities. Most notably, remember that Saints game where they was calling Tariq Cohen Little, and he wasn't getting any carries, and everybody's like, "Yo, are you going to feature David Montgomery?" I know Bears fans were like incredibly mad about that game, but I definitely get where you're coming from. So we covered Mitch, we covered David Robinson, a little bit of Tariq Cohen sprinkled in there. What's your gut feeling about Allen Robinson? Is he on your roster at the end of the season or no?
I think it all depends on how he performs this for the rest of the season. If he underwhelms, They're going to ship him. Well, I don't know if they can ship him because I'm not mistaken. This is his final year of his contract, so he has to perform well, or else the Bears aren't going to look at him as a top paid receiver in the league.
And I think, hey, New England, Bill Belichick, hey,
I wouldn't mind.
hit up your boys in Chicago. You might as well get another piece for Cam. Assuming that Cam is gonna be there after this year is over. Let's see how Cam Newton's year goes.
Hey, Mo.
Go ahead, bro.
So while we're talking about receivers, let me ask you this: if you're Julio Jones, do you play this week?
If I'm Julio Jones, I sit out. Why do I force it? I know he's an Iron Man and he is a warrior, the consummate professional. His work ethic is amazing. If he feels like he can even be like anywhere between 50 and 75%, he gonna go just because Julio is so unselfish that he knows that him just a 50% Julio is better than a lot of these receivers in the league. And a 50% Julio is still going to draw coverage being rolled his way. So I think he'll be out there just from the standpoint of, hey, well, I know I got Calvin, I know I got Russell Gage, I know I got these running backs. Like me being out there is a threat to the opposing defense. But my gut feeling is saying, nah, rest up. Hamstring injuries is kind of like a situation where I think they told us, hey, this is not serious. But in reality, it was way more serious than we thought. Him stretching on the sideline to that extent, after he dropped that touchdown pass by Russell Gage from the Wildcat, was concerning to me. Very concerning. But that leads me to my next segue to his running mate, Calvin Ridley. I know that you feel strongly about Kyle Fuller. You said that something bold earlier. How do you feel about this matchup?
I like the matchup for Kyle Fuller. I think it's a chance to prove that he's the best cornerback in the NFC North, and which is the reason why I have him. He holds Calvin Ridley to 4 catches, 68 yards.
Wow. And that's kind of underwhelming compared to his previous 2 games. And he's leading the NFL in receiving touchdowns, and he's actually tied for the lead in the NFL in receiving yardage. So that would be definitely underwhelming. We talked about all these different things, but we still haven't talked about the Falcons defense. And I did that strategically. When are we gonna show up? Dan Quinn, like, when are we gonna show up? The first game y'all said, hey, we're gonna try to stop Chris Carson. Chris Carson, out of all people, he still ended up eating from the standpoint. He might not have had the most rushing yards, but he definitely caught 2 touchdowns out of the backfield, one on a screen pass and one on a little flare route. That's troubling. Ezekiel Elliott went to work on us last week and helped spark a comeback. That's troubling. David Montgomery, he's in line to look like he's going to have a good day, so as well as Tree Cohen. That's troubling. When are we going to step up? Pass defense. We've let DK Metcalf just absolutely torch us, but based on what he just did to Stephon Gilmore, it doesn't really seem that bad. What we see Tyler Lockett, we saw with CD Lamb and, them not being able to contain him. Cooper still having a good day and productive day. I'm not sold about the Falcons defense as far as them making the adjustments. Everybody, last year we had that little switch where for like 8 games, we flipped that switch. 6 games in the season, we was playing really solid defense. And everybody's just like, oh my goodness, this Falcons defense is really showing up. They're different. Where is that at? Because I want to know. It makes me nervous going into the... Go ahead, bro.
If this game right here is the chance to prove the media that, okay, we can make the adjustments and play defense.
It is one of those games, and I think it's one of those games for both sides. Bears are 2-0. They lose to the 0-2 Falcons in Atlanta. It's not really as big as a loss to me than if the Falcons go 0-3 in this division, where ourselves and Carolina are both at the bottom right now. So I think the Falcons need to gain way more than the Bears do. However, the Bears still want to keep up with the Packers at the top of the division for the division crown. But you said being a proving game for the defense, yeah, we can make the adjustments. I think that's true. Do we? I want to say we hope. So. I hope so. But that leads me to the predictions. What is your prediction for this game? And do you have any bold or hot takes for this game?
I would say my hot take is Todd Gurley rushes for 110 plus yards for 2 touchdowns. And my score prediction is 28-24 Falcons.
Wow. Okay. So last week I predicted that the Falcons would lose against the Cowboys by a walk-off field goal. You can go run it back, walk-off field goal to end the game. I had the score being 32-30, but it ended up being 40-39. So I was close. Maybe not with the score, but with the prediction of how it's going to play out. This week, I think that the Falcons bounce back. There's no way that we can go 0-3. And if we do, expect Dan Quinn to be fired before halfway through the season. That's just my hot take. That's the only reason Arthur Blank brought him back this year, and him and Thomas Dimitrov, was because we needed this year to make the playoffs. And if we don't do that, and if we don't right the ship, then I'm afraid that he's going to lose his job. My hot take for this game, I say Falcons win by a score of 27-23 Falcons. And if I had a confidence meter and how confident I am in that pick, I'll say like a 4 on my confidence meter. I'll say a 4, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, this is Jalen. This is Moon Vibes for our Bears and the Falcons picks, and definitely we're excited to see what Mitch Trubisky does, and definitely I'm excited to see if this Todd Gurley pick plans out, and his prediction pans out with that. For the Real 1's Productions, we signing off and we on to the next segment.
Welcome to R1P's Rapid Fire Questions. I am your host, Lever KT. Y'all already know what we do on this show. Each panelist have 5 to 7 seconds to answer a question. If they talking too daggone long, I'm gonna give them a simple next. Let's get started. Will Gardner Minshew lead the league in passing? Nomi, go.
No, he's not.
Jalen, go.
With last night's performance, no, I don't think he will.
Not happening. Moon Vibes, go.
Before last night's performance, I didn't think he will.
Damn. LL Cool Brad, go. So a week from now, if we rewinding this and we doing what we had to do a couple weeks ago when we asked what the Jaguars thinking, remember that. Can Mike Gesicki lead the Dolphins in receiving this year? Nomi, go.
I don't see why not. He has a little bit of competition, but he, as a tight end, has a bit of an advantage on number of receptions and probably the ability to get into the end zone.
Jalen, go.
Yes, and his only competition to me is Devontae Parker, and I think he can beat out Devontae Parker just because he's a tight end, and they're usually a quarterback safety blanket sometimes.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Moon Vibes, go.
Not only is he a safety blanket, but Fitzmagic just seems to like Gesicki a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that not only does he lead them in receiving yardage, but I think he leads them in receiving touchdowns.
Wow. LL Cool Brad, go.
I think there is actually no competition because he's a big, he's fast and he's weighs like 250. Am I not wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he can move really, really fast at that weight. And I feel like if he can do that, he can just outrun everybody who tries to cover him, honestly.
Yeah, he has amazing hands too. Will the 49ers injuries cost them a playoff spot? Nomi, go.
Especially in that division, yeah. Well, with Seattle and Arizona playing the way that they are right now, it doesn't really look like there is a playoff spot for the 49ers. So the players that are getting that play time really need to step it up, or they are going to lose the ability to have another playoff spot this year.
So before we go to Jalen, no man, I want to ask you another question. Could it be possible that the entire division goes to the playoffs with the extra wild card slot that is given?
No, I don't think so.
Gotcha. Jalen, go.
It is a possibility, but I think they can slip into the playoffs. Even with all the injuries, I think they're still good enough to slip into the playoffs. Not winning the division though, but yeah, slip into the playoffs they can.
Moon Vibes, go.
The Rams are the surprising team in the situation. Cardinals even more surprising because of Kyler's second year progression and his second year leap. I think also with Seattle, they're kind of the team to beat in that division. But my gut feeling is saying yeah.
Wow. L cool Brad. Talk to me.
I don't think they will because it feels like with every single team, like one of the teams after the Super Bowl, they always like fall downhill after that. So I feel like they're going to be that team.
It's going to be them this year. Excellent insight, Brad. Moving forward, have the Giants sabotage Saquon Barkley? Nomi, go.
Absolutely. You can't give one person that many touches and expect them to not have some type of physical reaction to it. He gets hurt a little bit more, and it's probably going to keep happening with them relying on him so heavy.
Excellent take. Jalen, go.
With the offensive line, they might as well sabotage them.
Hey, man. Hey, Jalen gets to it, don't he? Moon Vibes, go.
They sabotaged him, and they wasted Saquon's prime years because they couldn't block for him.
If you could pick another destination other than the Giants, what could you see him going?
Who, Saquon?
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere but New York. And not the Jets either. Honestly, I would love to see a trade. I know this would be like a super team type field, but I would love to see Kyler Murray and Saquon Barkley on the same field. That would be nasty.
That'd be nasty. But just so you know, the Bills are in New York and they are 2-0.
Yeah, they was included.
Bills Rams will be coming up shortly. We're gonna talk about it more than LL Cool Brad. Go.
I just think it is the offensive line too. I'll agree with everybody else. It's just the offensive line.
Yeah, it's scary. I watched that Steelers game in its entirety, and the Steelers defense was just flying to the ball. But
the thing is, though, he can hurdle over our defenders, right? But it's the offensive line. He gets no blocking, bro. And the Steelers defense, they were lining everybody up on.
Yeah, hey, no doubt. No doubt. And the only play he was able to make is when he was in the open field. He caught the ball, and that was it, man. It's sad to see. It's AJ Green. This is a 3-part question. Lackluster performances due to injury, rust, or is he washed up? Nomi, go.
I think it's rust, but not just with him, but with a new quarterback in the system. I think that they're still getting to know each other and understand each other, the way that they run routes, and there's just a certain level of chemistry that they weren't able to build over the summer and in the preseason games. I think it just takes a couple more games, and hopefully his production will start to pick up again. Still hoping because of my fantasy team, though.
Absolutely. Jalen, go.
It's rust and injuries just because he's had a whole year off where he hasn't played, and that's a lot of time to not to not play with a new quarterback and everything. And then with injuries, he was a 1,000-yard receiver every year. He's really been healthy. Mm-hmm. So it's rust and injuries for me.
Gotcha. Moon Vibes, go.
I'm washed up. No, I'm just playing. Nah, AJ Green is a mixture between injuries and rush, because I think that him not being able to like have a full season where he's actually like not in rehab but actually training is contributing to his rush. Now, I do agree with like the connection with his receivers and the quarterback, but I think it's a combination between injury and rush.
Alrighty, LL Cool Brad, what's your take?
I feel like AJ Green is just, he doesn't have much time to like build so much chemistry with Burrow and some of the new guys that are coming in. And I feel like it is rust too, because he's starting to get in the older side of where wide receivers are now.
Absolutely. He's always been crafty. I'm surprised nobody took the take of him being washed up. There's no takers?
All right, fine. I'll take it.
Washed up.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Alrighty, next question. This is one of my favorite questions. Can Carson Wentz right the ship? Nomi, go.
No, I don't think he's been the guy. I think that they drafted him expecting him to be the guy, and people have been acting like he has been, and I don't think his performance has actually reflected that.
Do you believe, because he's in Philadelphia, a huge market, they have won a Super Bowl, which in that regular season he was playing fantastic before he got hurt. Is he overrated?
Yeah, I think he was overrated because he performed well, and I feel like, especially with younger quarterbacks, when they get into the playoffs and we see them perform there, that's when we see the truest evaluation of them, and we didn't get to see that with him.
That's crazy. Jalen, go.
I'm gonna have to say no, just because offensive performance these past 2 weeks, and that's just a small sample size. But and some Eagles fans will point out that he's missing like 3 offensive line starters, so that's a big deal. But I just don't think with all the injuries he dealt with now.
Do you believe he can flourish with a new team? And if so, what team? Or what system?
I would have to say with the 49ers. I think that'll be a good fit for him.
I swear you just read my mind. That's the first team I thought about with Kyle Shanahan. Great take. Moon Vibes, what's your thoughts?
But is it going to get even better than Doug Peterson? I know Shanahan is a head coach, but he has lost 2 Super Bowl. Never mind. Doug Peterson is a heck of a play caller. And I'm not ready to give up on Carson Wentz yet, even though they lost 0. They 0-2 right now. I'm not. And although I do love Jalen Hurts, just follow his story extensively. I just don't feel. I don't feel good deep down giving up on Carson Wentz. In the situation now, is he overrated, underrated? I think comparison is a thief of joy, and I think we always compare him to Dak and the other people in his draft class, and that came after him. But I mean, they gave him the money. They gave him the big contract for a reason.
Detective time. Brad, put on your glasses. We gotta ask Moon Vibe some questions. Last week, you stated you thought Carson Wentz was better than Dak Prescott. I don't want to bring up last week, but the Cowboys did come back against the Atlanta Falcons. Do you still believe that Carson Wentz is better than Dak Prescott?
Yes.
Cap.
Absolutely.
Brad, ask him the next question, Brad. Cap. All the way, Cap.
If you look at the first game that they played against the Los Angeles Rams, Dak didn't look pretty good. And you can look at the statement and say, okay, it's my Atlanta Falcons, but my Falcons defense is horrible. We'll talk about them later. But you can see him putting in garbage yardage when they was down in a game. How did they get like that? If you replace Dak and put him in Philadelphia, Dak is not going to give you the same production that Carson Wentz is going to give you when he's playing for Dallas. And I stand by that strongly.
Hold on. That's cap. Doug Peterson is one of the best play callers in the league. You saying what Nick Foles did in that system. So you telling me that Dak Prescott cannot do better than Carson Wentz in that system?
If he's dealing with the obliterated offensive line, yeah. I mean, he's never had to deal with that.
Put your glasses.
Is that cap?
Detective Brad, go ahead. Go ahead. Is he capping, Detective Brad?
Yeah, Sir Cap a lot.
Hey Carson, if you watch this, bro, I got your back.
You have had his back and you stuck with him. How do you feel about Carson Wentz, LL Cool, Brad?
He does not ride the. I don't think so. No, and I feel that he is not underrated or overrated. And I feel like during the mid-season that Jalen Hurts is gonna come in.
Great take. So I have a question here that's interesting, so I think I'm going to allow you all an additional 5 to 7 seconds. What is wrong with the Jets? Nomi, go.
I mean, as we're talking right now, an injury report popped up on my computer telling me that their wide receivers and their tackle are injured and ruled out for their game against the Colts. I think that is a good example of what's wrong with them, along with their lack of production out of Sam Darnold. They drafted him high and wanted him to be another one of those dudes that were expected to be the guy. And he hasn't really played to those standards.
Jalen, go.
To me, it's two factors. It's Sam Darnold and his leadership, because I don't think he doesn't have it when it comes to being a leader. And it's Adam Gase too. He isn't a good head coach at all. He hasn't been a good head coach ever. Like even in Miami, he wasn't a good head coach.
Great take. Moon Vibes, go.
It's a combination of multiple elements. It's a combination of Sam Darnold's leadership. It's a combination of the management in the front office not only not hiring the right coaches, but getting rid of the wrong coaches too soon. Like, they got rid of Todd Bowles way too soon, and they spent way too much time on Rex Ryan. But like, I could say it's injuries, but in my opinion, you already know where I'm gonna go. Adam Gase, bro. Adam Gase. I've been calling for his job for a while, but I think that it starts with, of course it starts with the people up top, but you have to not only be a leader as a quarterback, but you have to be a leader as a head coach too.
I agree. I feel like skill set is something that's not attainable. Either you have it or you don't. And I believe Sam Darnold does have it. I do believe also, like, you can gain leadership. It doesn't happen right away for most people. Jalen Hurts is a natural born leader, period. Eli Manning wasn't the greatest leader, and he has 2 Super Bowls. He attained it later on in his career, of course, but in the beginnings, he definitely wasn't the leader of that organization. You talking about Tiki Barber, Mike Strahan, and them guys. So he can attain the leadership, and that might be fit, and it might be Adam Gase. May need a new coach. LL Cool Brad, what's your take?
The chemistry in Adam Gase, because, dude, you cannot. If you're going to be a head coach, a good, strong head coach, and have a good team, you cannot just have bias towards players. You can't. You can't. You have, like, dude, you got to be cool with everybody, man. That's how chemistry is made. That's how you win.
Yeah, you're right, because we all know about him and Le'Veon Bell. Is Le'Veon Bell out the doghouse yet? Like,
I don't think he'll ever be out the doghouse.
That is crazy.
Adam Gates needs to go back to college football. I'll tell you that. I already told you guys that.
Hey, LL Cool Brad is not playing with people today. Is Jonathan Taylor the next bell cow back for the Colts? Nomi, go.
I don't see why not. He's a great running back, and he has shown that he can continue that at this level. Give him the ball. Let's see what he can do with it.
Jalen, go.
Yes, and especially with Marlon Mack being out, and the fact that he was that type of running back at Wisconsin. So he will be that for the Colts.
Great take. Moon Vibes, go.
If you look at the system, just Wisconsin, big, stocky, just huge offensive linemen. Same thing is going on in Indianapolis. I love their offensive line. Big fan of Quentin Nelson. But Jonathan Taylor, he's the only running back in college football history to have 6,000 yards in a 3-year span. So that's just a testament to what he can do when he has a heavy workload. But I see him being that bell cow back for them moving forward.
Does Marlon Mack ever get his spot back?
I don't think so. But he can be a complimentary role when he comes back next year. It's going to be interesting. I have to look up his free agent situation, if he's still under contract or is he not. But I just think that if he produces this year right away, it's kind of going to be hard for him to get the spot back.
I think it's going to be hard to get his spot back in general because Hines is their scat back. He's their, pass catcher out of the backfield. So what kind of role does Marlon Mack play then? You know what I'm saying?
And that sucks because he's actually a quality back, though. He's actually a quality back. In fantasy, we talked about it. He was a steal. He was going like in 4th or 5th round. So he was a steal. Everybody thought they had the steal of the draft going in, and then he got hurt. So that's tough.
Yeah, injuries are always the unknown when dealing with fantasy. LL Cool Brad, what is your take?
I feel like if he can, when he was at Wisconsin, they gave him so many touches. He's a really elusive. He can break tackles. He's a nice big back. I feel like he can be the answer, yes.
Great answer. Staying on the topic of running backs, can Leonard Fournette continue to produce in the way he produced last week? Know me, go.
Absolutely. I don't know if he'll be performing at the same level as he did, but I think that he can still be performing at a very high level consistently, especially within that offense.
Absolutely.
Uh, he did have an incredibly good game, and that's hard to do every single game. But I definitely do think that he can continue to play at a really high level.
So staying with Nomi, has he proved that he should be their starting running back?
I think so. I think that he's a great every down back, but also having that change of speed with Ronald Jones can be really helpful. So I think that he would be the better starter, especially having Ronald Jones come in to catch passes and do big third down plays.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Jalen, go.
I say yes, just because I think he got into the rhythm of the offense and Bruce Arians' offense. So last week was just a preview of what he's going to do for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Moon vibes.
Last week was a preview because they went up against the Carolina Panthers flawed defense. That's the reason. And I said it the other day. They barbecue chicken on defense. It's literally barbecue chicken. But if you look at it, the team genuinely looks happy when Leonard Fournette touches the ball and he is productive. That's a great sign to see. But I just think that for them moving forward in their quote unquote championship aspirations, I think they'll be best when they have a dual or maybe even a running back by community type situation. We saw Shady almost drop a pass last week. He dropped a pass last week that was crucial. I love the addition of Ronald Jones. I just think that they can be like a three-headed monster instead of having to depend on Leonard Fournette because of his injury history.
And I feel like that's always Bruce Arians. Even in Arizona, he will always utilize multiple backs. Great take, Moon Vibes. LL Cool Brad, what do you think?
They haven't faced the toughest competition yet, so it's kind of hard to tell. And it's kind of hard to tell if he's going to stay fully healthy this season. You know what I mean? He's had long injury history, so it's kind of hard to tell right now.
He's in a interesting position because he's in like a prove it or lose it type of thing because he took kind of chump change money, and I'm sure he's looking for that payday. If he gets over 1,000 yards, sure, he gets that payday, and then they have a deep run in the playoffs, he gets that money. But what if he has a lackluster year and they still like have a deep run in the playoffs? I'm gonna ask Moonvibes this question: does he still get paid the money he should be getting paid?
He's going to hit the free agency, so of course, but it just probably won't be by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
We shall see. Will the Broncos be able to deal with the loss of Drew Lock? Know me, go.
I think that they're a team that has always been based off of their defense. As long as they can run the ball and hit the slant well, I think that they can succeed. And I think especially with an injured quarterback, you have a lower expectation on a successful season. So I think if they get 6 wins, their fan base will be happy.
Jalen, go.
With Jeff Driscoll, no. He isn't that good to me. When he played for the Lions last year, he made Mr. Trubisky look like a Pro Bowler the way he performed in those games. So no.
Moon Vibes.
I was not expecting him to say that. Broncos, like I feel like they could have helped Drew Lock in his progression if they would have just signed one of those veteran quarterbacks, even if just to compete with him to push him to that next level, or if he loses his starting job, he can learn. I think they put too much pressure on him, like, hey, you're our guy, and this is what's happening. And I think it's in the Denver Broncos' best situation to lose and lose often, but lose closely, so y'all can still keep the ownership kind of like at least on the brink. That way, Vic Fangio don't lose his job or anything. But, maybe tank for Trevor Lawrence and try to see if that can be a solving for your franchise.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence, would he really be an upgrade over Drew Lock? I mean,
absolutely.
We see if the ceiling
absolutely.
for Drew Lock is him against the Texans last season. Is he better than Drew Lock? He's mobile. He can be accurate. But you think it's an immediate upgrade with the running backs they have, with the receivers they have? It's an immediate upgrade.
Absolutely. It's not even close.
So for their system, you think you think
Nah, don't
Lawrence
say
is
their
better than
system.
Justin
Don't
Fields
don't
for their
say their
system?
system. Don't say their system because when Trevor Lawrence steps on campus, their system will change to whatever Trevor Lawrence does best. We have to understand that.
Alrighty. R1P, you heard it here first. Moon Vibes is all in on Trevor Lawrence. LL Cool Brad, go.
Do I think Jeff Driscoll is the answer? No. But he did have a really good showing against the Steelers last week, against a really good Steelers defense. I was surprised as a Steelers fan myself on how our defense was falling asleep that second half. Do I see him being a good starter? No. Do I see him being, as he is still a great backup? Yes.
Alrighty. You heard it from LL Cool Brad. Can the Cardinals win the NFC West? Nomi, go.
I think that division is Seattle's to lose right now. The top three teams there are kind of going crazy all over the place. I think what we're looking for is Russ right now. And if he keeps going the way that he's going, there's no way they don't take that division.
I have a question for you, Nomi. With their defense, can they win that division? And I'm talking about Seattle.
Yeah, I think they can because I think Russell Wilson is the type of person to win close games, and we've seen that for years.
Absolutely. Jalen, what is your take?
I think they can with the way DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray have been playing this year. They can, and their defense has been stellar. It shocked me how good their defense has been so far this season.
Moon Vibes.
Y'all are tweaking right now, bro. They have the second ranked rushing defense, yeah, but their passing defense leaves more to be desired. And we just got to be honest with that. Like, be real. And if we talking about them, I trust Arizona's defense more than I trust Seattle's. If we're just talking about all together as a whole, I trust the Rams defense more than I trust Seattle's. But the X factor is what Nomi said is Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson is playing like that and you got DK Metcalf just totally babying Gilly Lock, then it's a tough day.
Yeah.
It's really a tough day. So, yeah, I just think that do they continue to be in high-scoring games? Both of their two games have so far been incredibly high-scoring. I think that's the case for all the year because their pass defense is lacking. So, yeah, that's how I feel.
And you already know in January you got to bring a defense in the running game or don't expect to win a Super Bowl. LL Cool Brad, go.
I've seen so much more talent this year on the Cardinals than last season. Everybody I feel like has improved a little bit. So yes, I do think they can make the playoffs with the extra spot this year.
Gotcha.
One last thing, KT. I think Russell Wilson is the next Aaron Rodgers. We're going to see him get frustrated with his team over and over again for not building what they obviously need.
That's an interesting dynamic and something we definitely are going to have to pay attention to. This next question I'm going to go in reverse because I really want to hear from Brad since he's in the heart of Michigan. Is the Matt Patricia era in Detroit over? Brad, go.
Hit the road, Jack, bro. It's been over for a while.
So is that the overall general feeling in Michigan?
Absolutely. Dude, he hasn't had one 500 season, bro. Not one. Not one. Not one. I will give him credit, though. Last season, he almost beat the Chiefs. I'll give him credit for that. But, I mean, what else is there to give credit about?
So do you feel bad for Matt Stafford, being that he's in his prime years?
Yeah, he just got wasted, bro. He's basically just wasted years. He should have. I honestly think I wouldn't have been mad if he just got up and just demanded a trade, honestly.
That's a great point. Moon Vibes.
He went where I was gonna go about Matt Stafford. I feel bad for Matt because he's a really productive quarterback, but it's like every single game he has to go into it saying, "Yo, I got to put up 30 just for us to have a chance." And they've been dealing with a lot of injuries in their wide receiver core. Hopefully, we get Kenny Golladay back, but even still, with Matt Patricia, he's a defensive-minded coach. I don't know what it is about defensive-minded coaches when they become head coach. Not all of them, but some of them, where they just let their ego and their pride take over to not put people in position to help, so they don't have to have all the detail on the defense instead of the whole team. But I think Matt Patricia has fallen victim to that, and I think that we look too much at his resume in New England with Bill Belichick that we just totally forget that what Brad said, he hasn't had a 500 winning season. So, yeah, I think it's his time is done.
You being from Georgia, I have an interesting take here. What if the Detroit Lions sent a pick over to get AJ Green to get the Stafford to Green connection in Detroit? Does that help them at all?
Honestly, KC, that would be good when it comes to like just the storylines. We talked about. I think AJ Green is just a mixture of rust and injury, but I think that the connection is already there. I would love to see him play in Detroit, but I don't want him to be a part of a losing franchise.
Great take. Jalen, go.
Matt Patricia, if you listening, if you watching, you're gone by the end of the season. If your defense keep performing the way it is, your defense has given up 69 total points this whole season. That's second in the league.
Bro, and one more thing, bro. This isn't just for Detroit Lions, bro. Like, it's pretty much every single team except for the Tigers. They're actually doing decent this season. Like, it's just every single team in Detroit. They just don't do it. I swear.
I guess y'all gonna have to rely on the Wolverines at the end of October. Nomi, go.
I don't think the Lions have what it takes to do just about anything right now. Matt Patricia has a lot to do with that. I think that your head coach needs to be able to be more versatile in the way of like having a successful year within the first few years, or at least working towards one and showing some type of pattern of building. And I don't think we've seen that. A good example of that is like with Tennessee, right? They weren't good when they drafted Marcus Mariota, but you saw that consistent progress and progression towards drafting wide receivers, drafting an offensive line, and you saw them get better. And I think that we need to see that same thing out of Matt Patricia as a head coach.
Great point. Is the AFC South the Titans to lose? Now that you mentioned Tennessee, that was a great segue, Nomi. What do you think?
Yes, I think it's theirs to lose. I think that their offense is carried by their running back, obviously, Derrick Henry. That guy's an absolute monster and can run through 15 people, and you can only have 11 on a defense. I think that they have the ability to do it. The only thing that worries me is Alabama players consistently getting hurt in the league. Derrick Henry has shown that he doesn't necessarily fall into that category, but it doesn't mean that he won't always.
Jalen, go.
Yes. I mean, I don't think their division is that good. And with the Texans performing the way they are, I don't think they're going to have any competition in their division this year. So, yeah, it's theirs to lose.
Moon Vibes, go.
Derrick Henry was getting 1,000 yards a game in high school. Like he's just totally he can't be hurt. He's Superman. But Phillip Rivers, if you're listening right now, you got paid $25 million for 1 year just to throw 20 picks. What's up, bro? What's up? Like, honestly, they probably did that just because, hey, we need a game manager because we know we about to run the rock. It makes sense, but 25 mil in just 1 year, it just worries me. I mentioned the Colts because I feel like that's their only competition. The Colts, Jags, I don't believe in them. The Texans, I'm sorry, Deshaun, but I don't believe in y'all either. And the Colts look like, their defense is playing good this year. Their win against Minnesota, was that Minnesota being horrible or was that the Colts being good? Especially since the Colts lost to the Jags the first week, who we thought were taking. So I just think that it's so inconsistent, and my gut feeling is saying yes, it's Tennessee gets to lose.
Brad, go.
I want to say Texans, actually, man. I'm going to flip the script for you. I think Texans are going to do it because, dude, if you're the Titans, right, and you won 16-13 against the Broncos, and it was a 3-point game. A 3-point game against the Broncos, man. The Broncos. Come on, man.
Hey, great point, Brad. I think they won 2 games by a total of 7 points. So that definitely will be interesting to see down the road. What's wrong with Minnesota, Nomi?
Offensive production. And I think it boils down to, at the end of the day, offensive line. Their defense isn't performing great right now, but if you look at the amount of time that they spend on the field, it wouldn't necessarily surprise you. They need to be able to run the rock consistently and make consistent passes and actually score the ball so their defense doesn't have to try to force something over and over again.
Great take. Jalen, go.
It's 2 things. It's Kirk Cousins, and it's the fact that they lost some pieces on defense this year. I mean, I don't believe in Kirk Cousins to be that type of guy to lead a team to a Super Bowl, and their defense has just played terrible. Well, not terrible, but not good this year.
Gotcha.
Why can't Kirk Cousins lead a team?
He just doesn't show up in the big moments. I mean, look at last year in the playoffs. He didn't show up. Well, he did against Saints, but against the 49ers, he didn't. If I'm not mistaken, didn't he? In Washington, well, he only made the playoff once. Which, I mean, isn't completely his fault, but it doesn't look like he's going to make the playoffs again this year. So, I mean,
the Washington football team is their own biggest obstacle.
Yeah.
You got to put some respect on Kirk Cousins' name, man. That dude's been a good quarterback. He's struggling right now, but I think that he's a damn good quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you. He's a good quarterback too, dude. He just doesn't have like the right scheme. I don't think he has the right scheme. I think he just needs the right scheme.
Moon Vibes, what is your take?
That's a great point, Brad. Like he does the right scheme. I think he put up like consecutive 4,000 yard seasons, 3 consecutive 4,000 yard seasons whenever he was in Washington. Like he is productive when he is in the right scheme, but yet they look and they feel like more of a we're a run first team.
Mm-hmm.
So Kirk Cousins has limited possessions to showcase what he is, but I think it's a lie. Everything is wrong with the Minnesota Vikings, and this is what's coming from the head coach. Head coach came out and said everything is wrong. So I just think that I don't know where to start. Maybe we just plug and play, but with the loss of Stephon Diggs and Everson Griffin and some more defensive players, Danielle Hunter's not playing right now. Like they are taking blow after blow after blow. And you know how we talked about the Jags before, said that maybe we looked at, what the Jags lost instead of what they have. I think it's the same thing with the Vikings. Like the opposite, I should say. We worry about what they have, but we really need to be talking about what they lost. Boy, what they love Stephon Diggs right now.
Mm-hmm.
Also, how many wide receivers can you name on that team not named Adam Thielen off the top of your head?
Justin Jefferson, and that's
Justin
it.
Jefferson. I mean, if you're talking about tight ends too, Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith.
Next question. I know one of my guys from CMU named Tyler Conklin. There's a free shout out for you, man.
But that's exactly my point. The wide receivers aren't really there. They're leaning into the run game because they got 2 or 3 decent running backs.
Mm-hmm. LL Cool, Brad. Get your glasses on. We on the case.
Yeah.
Alrighty. My next question. Should Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert start? But before we get there, LL Cool, Brad, and I are on the case. Tyrod Taylor had a mysterious pregame injury, LL Cool, Brad. An injury that was caused by a doctor. Did they do it intentionally?
I think so, man. I don't know, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the NFL right now. Dude, the NBA told the best players to shut up and dribble after Breonna Taylor didn't get the job.
I think we have a conflict of interest. I believe their head coach wants Tyrod to play, but general managers and the ownership, they want Justin Herbert to play. But let's get to it. Who should start for the Los Angeles Chargers? Nomi? Should it be Tyrod or Herbert?
I don't understand why people hate Tyrod Taylor. Every single time he has played, even on your Bills team when they weren't necessarily the most stacked offensively. He was still able to produce and have successful seasons and even make the playoffs. I don't understand why people are so down on him while he continues to produce. Now, if we look at Justin Herbert, as I wear an Oregon Duck jersey right now, I can tell you that he's not ready to be starting in the NFL.
Wow.
And I think that his team has shown that that's what they believe as well. And that his first start in his first game playing, he had 2 passes that went over 20 yards, and one of them was at the end of the half. And they didn't even throw it into the end zone. They gave it to Keenan Allen to pitch to Austin Eckler. They don't trust him to even heave it into the end zone with 0 time on the clock. There's no trust there. It's Tyrod Taylor's job.
Jalen, go.
I think it should be Tyrod Taylor, but and I say that because I don't think Herbert is ready right now, and I think he still need time to develop and everything. But if Herbert performs good this week and the following week, then he'll probably be the starter for like the rest of the year.
Jalen, don't you feel like this is like deja vu all over again with the Tyrod Baker Mayfield situation? Now we have Tyrod and Justin Herbert. Speak on that.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks for Tyrod because it's like bad luck. It's like, oh well, 2 rookies just came in and replaced me, and on 2 different teams. So it's like it's bad luck.
Absolutely. Moon vibes.
My take is something I don't think anybody has mentioned. The Chargers are a good team. However, I think that what if this situation would have happened week 17 or first round of the playoffs, wild card, and we go into the game thinking we're going to get Tyrod, but yet the team doctor punctures his lung because of a needle on trying to administer a shot that's going to numb him for cracked ribs. And they go into the wild card game as a favorite, and then they odd slip because Justin Herbert is the quarterback now. Like it's a tough situation for Tyrod, and I'm praying for a speedy recovery. But the longer that he's out, the more that Justin Herbert does get a chance to prove himself, even if they don't believe in him now. So I just think that I just hope that he's not out for a long time because I want him to have the job. But yet, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that or pitch that to the front office and everybody with the politics of it.
I have a follow-up question. Do you think Tyrod Taylor becomes like Kawhi Leonard at the end of his run in San Antonio and doesn't trust the organization or the organization's doctors after this?
My gut feeling is it could be, yeah, because this is it's like it's a freak accident, but I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen at all, or maybe it happens and we just don't hear about it. But for it to happen before the game, because the reason why they give him the shot in the first place is because the effects for the shot only last for about 3 to 4 hours. So it's gonna numb you enough for the pain. So during the game, you're not gonna feel nothing, but after the game, you're gonna feel everything. So they did it before the game. So him having difficulties breathing, I feel like he could file a lawsuit or something against that doctor. But also Anthony Lynn has to talk to that team doctor like, yo, you got rid of my guy like for this week against their biggest game, one of the biggest games of the season. Both of those Chiefs games are their biggest games of the season, so it's a tough situation.
Moon vibes, you are back on the hot seat. Detective KT and Detective LL Cool Brad are on the case. Did they do it intentionally?
My gut feeling says yes.
Why?
Why do you think they did?
Because it's just like the politics and the dynamics of it. Tyrod, like, this feels like straight out of a movie. Like, this is not the first time this has happened to him. This is not the first time they had him on the roster and they draft a quarterback first round. Like, I mean, like, or early, I should say. My gut feeling is it's probably some politicking going on in the front offices we probably don't know about. And, with team doctors, it's been kind of like a while. Like, usually the best doctors in the region, it's kind of a long time since they have been able to tuck needles and all this other stuff. But my gut is telling me, yeah, because how do you make this error? You shouldn't be making this error if you are the team doctor,
Not at all. You're off the hot seat. Nomi, how do you feel about this situation?
I feel like there's a certain level of conformity expected from quarterbacks, and I mean especially black quarterbacks in the league right now. If you look at somebody like Deshaun Watson grew up in Georgia and grew up in a majority black community and was raised by that. That's the group of people that he was raised around and the life that he knows. And I think that going into the NFL, you're expected to change the way that you behave and change the way that you act to fit what the organization expects of you and what people might expect of you as a quarterback. And I think that hits some people in a way where uh, they become this shining light almost like what people do with Russell Wilson. Like he's this giant example of how people should behave in the NFL. But then if somebody is not necessarily fitting into that mold, like a Cam Newton, they get rid of a former MVP and the quarterback that led them to the Super Bowl over what seems to be nothing.
And to add on to that point, you have quarterbacks like Andy Dalton and Teddy Bridgewater and all these other quarterbacks that got deals this offseason that got signed before Cam. Or Jameis, for example. I know Jameis was bad last year, but he still threw 30 tubs. He had 30 picks. I can make, yeah, I know, but like that shouldn't be such a decrease in salary to the only option that he really had is to sign as a backup to Drew Brees.
I think Jameis Winston is possibly a better quarterback than Justin Herbert right now.
I got something to add. As the detective, I feel like Justin Herbert himself paid the team doctor to do it.
Oh man, that was hilarious. So this has been another rapid fire question segment. I am your host, Lever KT. We will see y'all during the next segment.